Hello. Hello.
Cerveza cristal. Cerveza cristal.
Oh god. I thought I was gonna be away from the brain rot once I finally, got back into doing this. Yeah, I'm gonna be talking during the advertisement. Nice, but fuck you, anyone who doesn't have Twitch Turbo or is already subscribed to me. It's been a while, and I got my shit set up ahead of time, and what's more, the advertisement that I tell Twitch every time, hey, please run it 2 minutes after I start the stream. Oh, it just struggles to do the advertisement 2 minutes after stream. It's like, why do you wait so long? And what are you trying to do? It's not like I tell Twitch, hey, I have they tell me all the time, get a schedule out there, and it's like, yeah, I get a schedule out there. Windows 95 is just unamused right now, are they? Nice. Cool. Sorry. Oh my goodness, and they made that account like a month ago. I bet they'd be going all around just sort of being writing just, really incorrectly. What the shit, bro? Goodness gracious. Blah blah blah. I used to have the Twitch clips, some thingy-majiggy running in the space. But yeah, no, it's not. Oh, hang on. Why is shield mode should be off? Whoop. Nope. Boom. Ah! Fuck! God damn it! Hang on. Hang on. Broke something. Hang on. Cool. Ah! I need to take a picture of this. It's just like. Alright. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, Windows 95. Don't have to invite me by this guy. Fuck you. Yeah, look. I just started, and I was just like, normally I don't talk during like the 5 minute thingamadiggy. I'll normally have like I'm trying out things, okay? I've not been streaming for like the last month, and during that time I've decided to like do like some changes to the stream. So for instance, the first and like probably the most obvious thing is the fact that I am not using VC face to do all the tracking and what have you for like the hands and the legs. I'm just someone trying to support the one that doesn't have too many viewers, and I hear fuck you. Yeah. More to a fuck you on like Twitch or some shit. It wasn't like directed to anyone specifically, but thank you for the follow though, Windows 95. Where was I in my train of thought? Shit. Brain, come on. You've only been out of this for a month. You should, like, where's your brain? Come on. Get it together. The one with so much views I can't even talk. Any whoosies. Sorry. Just so... Really putting me on... Like, god damn it. Yeah, no, I've been gone for a week. Sorry, not a week. I've been gone for a month. I decided to take a month off for, Windows 95 over there. Is it okay if I just go with Windows 95 rather than Windows 953? Because Windows 95 is a thing. There's so much goddamn spam in this one with so much viewers. No idea who you're talking about there. Could not care. Also, where's Bookie gone? Oops, cops outside. Wait, Bookie, like, you joking about the cops outside, or do you actually have to deal with the police outside your place? Any whoosies. Bleh. Brain. Okay, cool. Nice. Yeah, so, been gone for a month, and I didn't, like, do any, heard sirens in your background. Oh, really? I didn't hear any sirens. Maybe it came from the song. But yeah, so brain, come on. So I was gone for a month. Bookie knows this. Some people like, a month ago would have known about it. Some people may not know about it. Because, like, during the time I was gone, like, I was still, like, online. I didn't, like, disconnect myself completely. So when I dropped in to, like, check out... Meeps!
With the 35-month tier 1
Thank you!
Juke cookies, oh whoa.
Oh, fine. I'll give you this free cookie, okay? Here's your free cookie because you decided to subscribe to me after 35 months. Holy shit! It's almost been 3 years. It's actually gonna hit the 3-year mark. Ow! Super upsetty. Thank you for the gifted sub to the community. I greatly appreciate it. You're gonna get your cookie. Cookie. Well, cookie's gone. Crash wants due to... Ow! Thank you for the hyper himbo. I greatly appreciate it. And for the 69 bits. Good to have you. Hope you're... Oh my goodness. So yeah, been gone for a month. And, I was still online. I was still doing things on my PC and such. I didn't, like, properly disconnect and, like, go on and exercise every day or anything like that. So... I put on like 3 kilos or 4 kilos in the month that I was not streaming and what have you, but I didn't get a gym membership or anything like that when I started the month break, so that was on me. Plus, I was still working full time, so like this whole also isn't it like body Jesus. This is the first time I'm like running through actually let me like expose like the fun little secrets of like the changes that I have made to my what's-mahoozy, to my stream setup. So let me just click here. Cookie for Bookie. Here's your cookie, Bookie. There you go. All right. So normally, ding dong. Normally, I would have like 5 different programs running just to do like the whole VTuber stuff. Like I would have VC Face doing all the like the leap motion and the head tracking and the hand tracking and all that. There would be a webcam capturing it. There would also be my iPhone doing all the AR kit stuff. But Ellen Colt. No idea who that is. Hello there. Hi, Onyx. Hello. So yeah, so I've been able to boil it down to like fewer apps now running. So now it's down to 3. Now it's down to StreamerBot, which does like all the different it does all the different redeems, commands, timers, reactions, yada yada. So like, you know, you have TTS for the redeem, you got TTS if you do like a certain number of bits. I have a counter for when it's blue, foxy, and icy icy, because they don't need to use the TTS bot. They can use, or the moderator command, they can just use cheers. I'm probably going to get rid of that at some point, so then that way they're not being, you know, thingy. I then have SpeakerBot, which is doing all the TTS stuff. But yeah, more importantly, this is the only program to do all the VTubing nonsense now. So, and this one took a little bit of, like, fandangling, I will be real with you, because it's not using the webcam at all. So my webcam is now free for any kinds of recordings. Instead, I'm using the iPhone to try and capture the movement, the rotation, the head. Like, it's trying to capture all this kind of stuff. It's not the exact same kind of, like, fidelity and same range of motions as when I was using VC Face, but I've just, like, saved, like, 10% of my CPU now by not having to run that program in order to do, like, all the leap motion things. And what's more is, like, it's tempting to, like, run VC Face, so I can quickly turn this off and turn other things back on, but this motion is not limited to, like, 30 frames a second and has, like, this sort of delay to it and what have you. Like, this is so much smoother because there's less, like, you know, jumps that the iPhone was doing in order to, like, you know, capture my face, send it to computer, send it to VC, which then interpreted it all that, and then sent it off to Vignon for Vignon to interpret what VC Face was sending. So rather than having, like, you know, only like 30, like 60 to more likely 30 frames of, like, actual, like, range of movement and like updating and all that kind of such, it's a lot smoother now. It's not perfect, I will be real with you, because, you know, back when I was on VC Face, I could have my hips, like, relatively locked, and my range of motion with my head was pretty good. So, for instance, like if I'm gonna, so facing forward, if I turn my head so that I try and have my chin in line with my shoulders, on VC Face, it used to be a thing of, like, oh, it actually just moved, it just turned the head that much. It was able to keep that kind of motion, whereas I've had to do all kinds of fiddling on here. I can't do the exact same thing, but I have now been able to make it so I can at least, you know, I look at the second monitor, I do that, but if I do, like, you know, chin to chin, like, I have to sort of cheat the tracking a little bit and make it so that, oh, it's actually rotating the it's actually rotating, like, the hips a little bit. So whoomp whoomp. But the thing is that really it's more my head that does the change. But yeah, so was able to get that going. Okay, 5 minutes is up. And what's more is I've made all my redeems, like, or all the expression changes and what have you, like, instead of it being hotkeys, like, you know, shift, control, like, and then the function keys and what have you, I've now made it so they're just WebSocket commands, which is really easy to do on the Stream Deck. So rather than having, like, a keyboard function where if I'm in the middle of playing a video game and I need to use, like, control key or shift key in the game, and then someone does a redeem, it doesn't, like, force the shift or the control modifier, which can change how the motion in the game works. It's all done, like, via, again, the WebSocket, so it's all network stuff. So then that way, if someone, you know, redeem, because one of the more common ones that might happen is someone does a redeem for a cookie, and this used to be one function key. It was like F15 or 14, and then I had the gun emote. And what that was shift F15. So what would sometimes happen in video games, if I was holding the shift key because of, like, sprinting or any of that kind of nonsense, someone would redeem cookie and then it would just go gun instead. So instead of, like, giving meeps their cookie, I'd be giving them a gun, which is, you know, a terrible idea. They have a war on Santa and all kinds of things. I do not need a gun. So yeah, so by making it WebSockets, even if I'm holding the shift key or something like that, this is going to be a fun one. Even if I'm holding the shift key, cookie will always be cookie. Like, so yeah, so I've got that done for like all of my different things. So the cookie, the gun, the D himbo, the extra himbo. Let's see, the lovey-dovey, the thinking, and then I got my dabbing. Then this arm flexing, which is all right. Bald, peck dance. The peck dance is a bit of a weird one because the bones are not the exact same. Like, they're not in normal VRM bones, but, you know, we can... so the animation does that. So I wasn't able to make it like an animation thingamajiggy. Hi there, Xerix. Welcome to the stream. 3 more years, maybe. Who knows? So yeah, so rather than making them like hotkeys and such, I still have F13 as the... Also, is this thing... Okay, so that's for... Wait, why is Control-Shift-13 the camera 2? Control-Shift-17... Huh. I do not remember making the camera... Oh, maybe it was as like just a backup thing. But yeah, so I've made all the hotkeys, you know, WebSocket commands and what have you. I might make it where... Hang on a second, I just need a 0.5. I'm just going to make it so that the D himbo and the extra himbo are a little bit quicker in their blend shapes. 0.5, 0.5. So that way they're half a second. Maybe let's go 2.5. 0.25, I should say. 0.25. 0.25. Let's see how quickly that is. That's better. I think 0.25 is probably a good value, honestly. Rather than making it like 1 second to try and do all the extra himbo nonsense. Let's see. So yeah, so Cookie is a little bit different. So, because it's like there's an animation that plays. So I made it so instead it does like the Blender thing playing the animation, and then it stops the animation. So that's what I did there. Peck Dance is Peck Dance, because that one isn't using, like, arms and legs animation. So, because here it's like, oh, I've, you know, made it track the right hand and all that kind of nonsense. That way it doesn't, like, you know, pull my body in different ways. But yeah, Peck Dance uses, like, bones that are not part of this animation, which is a little annoying. Let's see, Sorrow, Angry, those are all 0.1. And then Hair Gone is 0, Gun, Not Safe for Work is 0. Actually, you know what, I'm gonna make Tummy 1, Lovey Dovey 0, 0. Arm flexing and dabbing, yep, those are just like, you know, going off almost instantly. Wait, is Hair Gone going that quickly? Hang on. Yeah, okay, cool. So Gun is 0, Angry, so Peck Dance. Oh yeah, and then I have like all the, and then like this is to do outfits as well. This is to make it so I don't need to do the where's my brain at? This is so then that way I don't have an avatar for each of the different outfits. I instead have the one avatar, and it just, you know, does all the checks and such. So, because here's the thing, it's like the shirt off and on thing, as you see here. It's like there's a cycle here. This makes it so that if I don't want to do a shirt off, I just throw it into there, and then it does like a comparison check where if it's the default outfit, it will, you know, do all these kinds of things. If it's not the default outfit, then it must be the made outfit. If I do new outfits, I'm probably going to need to do like a whole, like a cascade of compare texts where it's like, oh, like, actually, unless, do they have a switch case? Oh my goodness, they do. Okay, cool. So, at one point, so this compare text will definitely be a case of like, oh yeah, so, outfit param, default outfit, and then like any other kinds of things. So Yay, awesome. Cool. Delete. I'm glad I learned about that one in today's stream just now. And then these are all the things that everyone has where it's like someone does the redeem for bald, and then, we have chat message where if anyone puts in, just throws the letter F, then it throws an F. So, dink. That's what I have. The text cascade, though that's a new node, I need to do that. Yeah, so the text cascade aid was probably what I was thinking, but yeah, I just upgraded to 1.4.2. I think I'm up to right now. Hi there, Wolk. Welcome to the stream. By the by, Wolk is my not only the moderator here, but more importantly, they're the 3D artist. Why are you streaming so early? Because I haven't streamed in a month, Wolk. I haven't streamed in a while, okay? And I was like, oh, hey, I don't have to work Monday. And I want to, show off, the stuff that I was able to do while I was on break and such. So, haha. Also, one other thing. Hang on a second. I was able to create something...
Thank you,
Sir Dragon!
88 for the 8-month tier 1 sub.
Thank you so much, Sir Dragon. How long 8 months you've been subscribed to me. Nice. Stream fever. It was the 1st of July, getting up early to stream. Something like that. Yeah. Also, happy Canada Day for the Canadians who are, living internationally and what have you and want to celebrate and such. I was very tempted to take 4th of July off, or at least this week off, but I already asked for last week off, and that one was a bit of a short notice one, because I was like, I was off stream for, the first week of June, and then the second week, and I was like, I kind of want some time off from work as well. So I was able to take last week off as well, and that one I was like, I absolutely enjoyed my time off and what have you. So anyway, actually, back on track. I need to show you something. So one of the other things I've made that is stream related is I have... One moment, please. Where the F is it? Here it is. So I have a cork, as you saw. So for any of you that were not here at the start of the stream, I have a cork board. I was able to make a cork board, and I was able to make some pins in Blender. It looks fantastic. Granted, I took a little bit of a... This is a little bit of an inspiration from Wolk, because anytime Wolk gets a first-time raider into their chat, they have this just chatting wall they have. It looks fantastic, and what they do is that they ask the streamer, hey, do you have a sticker you want to add to the wall? And there's a lot of them. So I'm not doing the exact same thing, but this is a bit of a mix of Wolk's thing of having an environment where the stickers go on, and then Code the Yoshi's thing at the start where they cycle through all the different kinds of gift art or commissioned art that is safe for work and such. I have a lot of commissioned art, so I don't want to throw that on there. But what I wanted to do, because I don't get a lot of gift art. I love it when people give me gift art though, and I do not care about the quality, okay? Because here's the thing. It's fucking fantastic that someone, just has this feeling of oh, hey, I want to support you and I really like your stuff. Here's something I drew. I hope you like it. So here it is. Look at this is art that I have not paid for. This is art that has been gifted to me, okay? So, and here's the thing is I can scarcely recall who made each of these, okay? So we have I like Butts over here up in the top left, because I like Butts started doing streaming. I want to say last year they started doing streaming, and I was helping them out and what have you, and they were really appreciative and of because it was a case of oh, giving them insight, raiding once or twice when I can, because we're in entirely different time zones. Bone Mask Dog, hang on a second, let me zoom in, so then that way. So Bone Mask Dog did a funny little edit of me on a burger. I love burgers, by the by. So that one's done by Bone Mask Dog. This one here was Leon Hart. I'm not too sure if they're in the chat right now. This one was done by Sour Cream. Sour Cream 3 did a... They've done two. They've done this one here and this one. So this is their first one. This is the first one they've done of me, like, with this attire or what have you. And they're like, oh, hey, I did some art of you. And I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. And then they did another one over here. And this one is meant to be a, hey, this is what GrantZeebs would look like in, what's the villager one? The one with, that has the Super Smash Bro, fighter. What's it called? Animal Crossing, that's it. So, thank you, Wolk. Animal Crossing is, this is in the style of Animal Crossing, and they thrown me in my maid outfit. This is another one done by Leon Hart. They asked me, hey, what's your favorite ice cream? And I was like, oh, chocolate chip cookie dough is my favorite ice cream. So they went and done this, which I really like. They even, they included my tail, which, I'm gonna be real, even I forget I have a tail. So this one was done by Zevin Art. This one is just like so little cute. This one is done by Simon Moo. I have like such fatty hands. So that one is almost more accurate to my body type IRL than any of the other pictures up here. This one was done by, just give me a minute. I will remember this. I know this one. Because here's the thing: is they did this and they did it as a joke, and I was like, "Nah, fuck that! It's going on the wall. It's like I'm keeping this." Popcat, I think. Okay, it was done by Popcat. They did that. So, but here's the thing: it's like, even if it's misaccurate as fuck, where it's like, oh, there's no hair, the zebra's eyes are green. My eyes are blue, thank you hang on, I'm wearing glasses. You may not notice this very well. Look at this. They're like blue. They're more blue than green. And yet this guy here decided to do green. I love it. I still put it up on the board. This is another one by Simon Moo, where they drew me as if like Kirby style, where it's like, oh, what if Kirby absorbed GrantZeebs? I love it. And then this one was done by Kusaki. They were doing a stream anniversary thing, I think, or something or rather, and like they did this in MS Paint. And here's the thing: this was in like the background. This was in the background of my stream, like seeing this one here. If there wasn't anything running, like the desktop or video game, this was in the background, if you notice. It used to be the GrantZeebs and what have you that I made in 3D Blender. That was like 2 years ago. I don't know how to do that again. I probably should learn how to do it again. Is there anyone Oh, and then here's another one by Leon Hart, which was for Christmas. This one was lovely. Here's the thing: I'm amazed by the background. It looks really cool. Well, and then they just gave me like a lovely hat. It was great. So yeah. So this is gonna be found on the front. This is gonna be so Brain, come on. This is gonna be found at the starting soon screen. I probably should put this on my stream banner as well. So then that way, like, you know, it's available there. There's an obvious gap in the middle. And the reason why is this can be added on to. If you have anything from the qualities of like the crazy shading of I like butts, to, you know, good to like, you know, Simon Moo, even if it's something like Popcat over here or Kusaki's, or it's a Photoshop edit like Bone Mass Dog here, if you're giving it to me, it's going on the board. It's going on the board. So yeah, so what else? So there was that. Blender renders, give me a second. So yeah, so I had to make a cork board for that one. So this is the cork board there. I need to find out like where in the streaming room I need to put this board, however. It's going on the board. Thank you, Grant. I will gladly take that out of context. Quote me. Hopefully the quoting thing works. Hi there, Inez, Zach. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing all right. I was just showing off like the corkboard or what have you. But yeah, I need to figure out like where that is going to go because my break room or the streaming room is like, I'm gonna be real with you. It's just this. This is what the stream room is, okay? It is 2 walls and a door. So there's a giant GrantZeebs in the background there. It's tempting removing that and adding the corkboard there, but that does mean that I have to update. I will have to update this render every time fan art gets sent my way, which, I'm gonna be real, should not take me forever. So, and what's more is its opportunity to be like I'll probably have to that one might honestly be a bit of a tricky one to do, because this one here, I cheated. Like, this is a Blender render, but then all the images on top, so all the images are like, you know, they're literally just PNGs that I slapped on there. And then next thing you know, the pins that I have, those are not rendered. I didn't do like any green screen nonsense of like, you know, oh, all these pins are like, you know, rendered a second time or something, or rather and moving all around. I just have like let me find it again. I just have a collection of pins on a grid, and I've just been like, all right, I'm just gonna like, I did like a box select and move that pin elsewhere. So they're all like random colors and random rotations. So then that way I wasn't like, you know, having to render 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I wasn't rendering like 13 different pins. I just made like one pin. Like, this is I did like a entirely separate like render array and just like made all these pins. Yeah. Hi there, Sage. Welcome to the stream. Currently at a party, so I'll see you around, but glad to see you're back. It's good to be back. Thank you so much. Those pins are Candy Crush level? What do you mean Candy Crush level? Like... Oh, do you mean like you would like try and like, you know, like set a thing? Well, to be fair, this one here is all orange. These would go away. You could then swap these two. Oh, here's a 5 line of pink that would turn into a thing. Bone!
Dog with the
Hi!
23-month tier
Sorry,
1 sub.
I'm just getting a drink real quick. Hang on a
23
second.
months, welcome back, Grant.
It's good to be back. Thank you so much for the resub. I really appreciate it. Oh, Bone, check it out. So, at the start of stream now, I'm gonna have I don't have the featured Twitch clips running at the start of stream. I'm not too sure if I'm gonna keep that turned off, because like it does make the stream like a little bit like static and quiet. Because this is what I now have at the start of stream is this board of gifted art. It has everyone's there. Look, it has yours. You made this for me. You made me like a Z burger or something. That was cool. And then I've also got like Popcats over here. Or was this Sage's? Hang on a second. I now need to fact check myself. Hang on a second. Ding. GrantZeebs. It's not miscellaneous, it's gift art, which is entirely separate. Yep, nope, Popcat 76. So yeah, I got a few of these. So yeah. So maybe maybe I will, like, you know, to keep to like the 2 walls, maybe I will put this here instead, but this does mean that I would have to go through all these images again and slap them on the... Oh, you know what I could do? I could just make the cork... So, okay, so the way I did this, I followed a tutorial to make the cork texture, and then I followed a different tutorial to make the wood texture here. What I could probably do is... I'll probably, like, subdivide the corkboard, just so then that way, like, there's a little... Like, I can properly, like, place things. But I'll make it so that I'll have to UV unwrap this corkboard, and just make sure this area here, you know, stays to the correct aspect ratio. That way, rather than trying to like paste all the images again in the Blender environment and, you know, wasting resources like having all these additional pins rendered and what have you, I instead just have the PNG here. Or although you will miss out on, like, you know, the 3D depths here, so it is a static image, so I could get away. I might be able to get away with just having to render out because I'm not making it an animation or anything like that, and I doubt I would need to, like, you know, move around in the 3D environment or anything like. So yeah, okay, maybe I'll just do this the long way of like adding all the PNGs on the board and what have you. So maybe that's the clue. Maybe that's the trick. Oh, look at that, 85% cute, and I love the new profile icon. That is fantastic. Lovely work there. So yeah, excuse me, throat. Yeah, excuse me. So yeah, so I did those kinds of things there. I made for Blue Foxy Nicey Icy a new set of. I made a new object for Blue Foxy Nicey Icy. I made these. I made an icy pop for Blue. Like, look at this. So I made that. Made that for Blue, and then I made like a whole slew of them that were of like different colors and what have you. So like so this one's just like a pale white, here's a classic blue, and like, yeah. So, oop. I need to like mute my watch. Hang on a second, because it's all notifications of the same thing. I don't need. Hang on. How do I... Yep, silent mode is now on. Cool, awesome. So yeah, so that's what I did in the month off, is instead of improving myself, like getting a gym membership, going on like a proper like juice cleanse or anything like that, I caught up on the side content of Final Fantasy XIV. I blitzed through Dragon Age Origins. I'm going through Dragon Age 2 right now. And I went and helped out Blue, Code, I think Kahlua, he asked me for some shit and I gave him advice. I was just providing, like, you know, insights and advice to all sorts of different peeps who had questions about, you know, how to do, like, you know, microphone things, or how to set up Streamer Bot to do, like, one redeem or another, or creating a little icy pop for Blue, and I really enjoyed it. The Zeebs, you can make a slideshow for OBS as part of the scene for the fan art and have it shuffle, then you add to it instead of constantly editing a still image. Okay, fair enough, but I'm not a huge fan of the still image. Sorry, not the still image. I'm not a huge fan of doing a slideshow gallery. Like, the reason why I like the corkboard idea is that I wanted to have something that, rather than having like a digital frame of like, oh, here's an image here. Because here's the thing as well, is like, I wanted to make it so that images that were, you know, not really tall, like they would try and stick to a consistent size. Because some images, if they're less than like a particular like resolution, it's like shrink down. How's your diet going? Absolutely terribly. There is no diet whatsoever. There's no diet. There was none of the stuff. But yeah, so I wanted it to be the corkboard because that one felt a little more like, you know, like a stream environment. It felt sorry, not a stream environment, but more like an environment rather than a stream overlay was the reason I wanted to do it. It's why this, you know, this is a background where it looks like you're inside my room and what have you, rather than it. I want to get KFC when I get some money today. I get paid next week. So, but next week I'll have to be like doing all kinds of extra savings and what have you, because, oh, notes. I need to keep together with my notes. Hang on a second. So, what have I talked about? So, so yeah, so I was catching up on shows. I did a little bit of 3D. Oh, so about last week, about like last Monday. How about save me a slice of pizza? No, I want a pizza. I want a pizza. I'm not gonna. Well, can you get me a pizza? Would be really great. Oh, but yeah. So last Monday, I got a call from my mom. So this is like in the middle of, this is like near the end of June. And like, you know, she rings me and it's just like, hi mom. And she's like, hi Grant. What do you got planned for Christmas? And it's like, nothing, because it is June. I have no plans whatsoever for Christmas. And she's like, great, because your grandfather is thinking of inviting you over to the United States. And it's like, uh-huh. And she's like, yeah, it would be great. Hey, me, and she's like, you know, Grant, me, my boyfriend going up there, and we would be up there from Christmas until New Year's Day. And I'm just sort of like, oh. I thought I wouldn't be. Yeah, my mom has a boyfriend, so she's not married. She has a boyfriend. But yeah, so yeah, I am now like I'm now planned to go to the United States in like in December, which like I didn't think I was going to be going to the United States for like another few years or anything like that. I went last year for a wedding, and that one was a bit of a, I wasn't too sure if I was going to do it at first, because it was a case of like, get a ring from my sister. Hey, are you going to this wedding? I'm like, I don't think I'm invited. Get a ring from my mom. Hey, are you going to this wedding? I'm like, is that possible? I didn't exactly save up for this kind of thing. And then I get a ring from my grandfather of like, hey, you're coming to this wedding, right? And it's like, well, I guess I'm coming to this wedding then. So yeah, so that happened back in October. But meanwhile, I am now like, you know, I got 6 months now to try and save up as much as I can for Christmas up in the United States, which is going to be expensive as fuck, because the United States is going through the same sort of financial nonsense as we in Australia are going through. And I have to try and, like, you know, not be 150 kilos when I'm up in Christmas, because my grandfather knows me back when I was like 90 to 120 kilos. Hi, the Ginger Fox. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing all right. Let me give you a quick shout out. Bam. There we go. Hope you're doing all right. America, fuck yeah, coming again to save a motherfucking day. Yeah, that's what it is. So yeah, hopefully you had a wonderful time playing Pokemon Ginger Fox. But yeah, oh my god. I don't even want to think about Christmas yet. Look, Wilk, I was of the same. Your cramp should see you, not 90 kilos. Yeah, no. Morning, Angrel. Hi, welcome to the stream. You missed out on the You know what? Okay, I'm probably most likely going to need to do the corkboard render and what have you, and make it so it's in the back of my screen and what have you. So shouldn't be impossible to do. I can probably do like a bit of a cheeky one as well, by making it so that rather than it being a give me a few. So all right, hang on a second. So we've got the corkboard there. I'll need the books, the cactar. I'll need all this nonsense. Hang on a sec, sorry. Ding, dong, ha-ding, ha-dong, ha-bing. Keyblade has to be there. I don't need the suitcase. I need the door. And then... is that there? Where is... sorry, I just need to find where the skirting has gone. Oh, it's in the... okay, so it's in the stream room corner. That's why it's there. Okay, cool. And then... yep, this is ceiling, which is linked. And then we've got... Yeah, okay, cool. So that's why we got that there. All right, hang on a second. Rather than doing all that in the background, let me just double check. Okay, cool. Here we are. Where is... All right, here's the cupboard. Here's the chair. The bastard store is there. The armchair is there. I need to replace that armchair. Because, like, that's not really my armchair. Alrighty, and then... Yep. Yep, alright, cool, 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 cool. It's missing a roof and 2 walls. You're never gonna see that wall. You're never gonna see these 2 walls, okay? If I don't need them, I don't need to make them, alright? You just have to deal with this. Also, I just realized I am going to need to move this. I need to make it so it's not... There we go, that's about right there. I need to have a look at my timeline, sorry, hang on. Timeline, there we go. So, what's changed? So we got the stream room, we got this webcam. Cause yeah, like, it's not meant to be there, it's meant to be, like, over... Okay, not that far away, Jesus. It's like... It's not a room, it's a set on a sitcom, yeah. So, yeah, so this I've always had, but the corkboard and such is new. Yep, Cycles is gonna be a GP edit. Like, I swear, like, I had... See, a stream room, like... I swear, like, what camera did I have? Like, hang on a second. Now I need to, like... Am I tweaking? I swear I've had this... So, I need to try and replicate this camera angle. This is gonna be... Alright, hang on. Let me... Alrighty, so... So, the door was getting cut off. And then... Didn't have the stop. Alright, so... Ish? Like, I want to say it's like that, nearly? Alright, just gonna save real quick. Render that. I'm so annoyed that I fucked up my camera. Like, I swear, like, oh my god. Maybe it won't be that bad of an adjustment. Like, hopefully it won't be. Also, like... excuse me. We're trying to replicate... We're trying to replicate, that room. Like, that almost works. I just need to change, like, the, I just need to change, like, the actual, like, what's the words I'm looking for? Oh, actually, hang on. Damn it, I can't change the scene because the render is still going off. And it gets done in... Man, I'm so annoyed I like remove that like camera like angle setting and what have you. So yeah, it's not the exact same. Like, cause for instance, the okay, I know what I need to change. All right, hang on a second. Slot 2. And then all right. So this one here 0 negative 126. Okay, so that does that, and then we want 90. And then negative 3.3. Negative 3.3. There we so it pulls that in. 2.2. 1.5. Alright, so God damn, I wish I knew what I did with the you don't have an old version you can pinch from. Alright, let me have a look. Hang on. File open. I already did a save prior to the render. Ignore that. VTuber? No. GrantZeebs? No. Where's the stream room? GrantZeebs posing. Room blockout. Stream room renders. Track. Like. Give me a few. Ding dong ding. Cause. Where is it? Alrighty. No, do not save because I didn't. Because we did a save of the camera angle prior to that. Unless. Looking at the timeline. Probably not. Hi there, Makeus DJ. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, it looks... Unless... Cycles? No. No, it doesn't look like I, Also, is the previous room? No. It looks like I did not keep a save. Alright, this time... Hang on. I'm just gonna really quickly change some things. So, give me a second. Alright. Now, let's deal with the, Alright, so this is the stream room. This is the stream room camera. And 0 degrees. Is that it? 127. Is that it? So this might be it. This might be the small adjustment that I need. Negative 3.3. Negative 2.2. Oh. There we go. Hang on. View render. Nope, I did not save the... All right, let's see how this looks. File, save, render. So, because we're trying to replicate this camera angle here. Okay, maybe. Maybe. We'll see how we do. Not perfect. So yeah, the thing I'm seeing as an issue is over in this corner here, because like over in this corner here, you see more of the lightsaber, and I've not moved that lightsaber. So maybe I just start doing. Maybe I just need to start saving this like as a. Hang on. Here's what we do. So, because we got the front facing there, we've got the secondary here, we got the so we got webcam here, we got front facing there. I don't know why I have the secondary. The secondary doesn't do anything. Might have been following something, but yeah, I don't see any other cameras in this like environment. It's a very like I will be error reading tiles from oh yeah, because I was fucking around. All right, all right. Here's what's gonna happen. So that one is going to, yeah. So that one's all marked. I'm just gonna lock all these, just so then that way, so that doesn't get changed. Camera secondary. I don't know why you're there, because you're not doing any. I'm just gonna delete you, because you're not doing what I want. This is the webcam, and for whatever reason, it's oh. A lot of these cameras are from when I was using the when I was using a completely different room like this one here, which is a bit of a messy. It's a bit of a messy room. I call it small, but really like that thing was fucking massive, and I could probably. Also, do I have additional scenes or something? No, I just have the one scene. All right. What modifiers do you have? Collision modifiers? And then you have the key and the floor. Okay, here's what's gonna happen. Delete that. I don't need that. The blocking is so I can have like a thingy-majiggy for the zebra. Alright, so ding dong. That might be it. What was it? 3. Okay, negative 3.3. Let's try negative 3.4. Holy shit, that might be it. Alright, here's what's happening. Jung, back to... Sorry, let me just... So, here's what's happening. Shift duplicate that. We're gonna call this stream room corner cam. This one will always be locked in those areas. We're not gonna scale that up or any of that nonsense. That way, this one here can have like all the different nonsense and what have you. All right. Render. Ooh boy. Ah, stretching. Oh my gosh. I think I should do streaming of... I think I should do 3D streaming again in the future. I've not done a proper plan for what my future is going to look like in the streaming for, like, this month or next month. I have ideas. Like, for instance, like, probably one of the more important ones that I've got planned is, just for the sake of, like, being able to plan it properly, rather than doing party game streams on the first Saturday of the month, because every time I do them, I get surprised of, like, oh, the next month is about to start and what have you. And so what ends up happening is, like, I'm trying to plan for them, like, with a really big disconnect of timing and what have you. I think oh my god, that might be it. This might be the render. Okay, so the plush zebra is different, like different rotation, but everything else is perfect. Everything else looks just right. All right, I'm just gonna leave that to run for a little bit. Huh. That's not the first time that's happened. Errors from... What the... Hang on. View... Show metadata? Like... What? What is going on? Why is it... Something's not right. Sorry, I'm just gonna need to... So it's not open shading languages. Samples 512. 1000. Using denoising. Yeah, that's fine. We can use a denoiser. It's auto-detecting. It's using tiling. It's using transparent, so then that way we don't get anything in the background. It's doing a 4K render, which is fine. It's rendering a single layer. The data is the combined. We're going to use the stream room corner camera. That way, this one here can get moved around. And the reason why is so then that way you can't move that around anywhere. See? So then that way... Yep, so that's fine there. Why doesn't it... It's not rendering... So it's not rendering the door. What doesn't it like? File, save, render. Actually, hang on. Window, toggle system console. I'm gonna need to delete this VOD when I'm done. That's twice now I've, like, shown stuff that I cannot have shown, so... Alright, let's have a look. So... It could not find... So it's unable to pack images. Error reading pixels from tile file failed. Error reading pixels from... Cycles tile buffer. Okay. What is that? What is that error? Ding dong. What is that? Shows after replace fine. I think it's issue from nope. It's a Maya issue. This is a Blender problem. File. Clear data blocks, all types. File. External data. Pack resources. Unable to pack Cactar, the Cosmic Zebra, and cannot find the neck fluff. So it found 3 things it couldn't do. Render image. Let's try this again. Is it because I'm starting on like a weird spot? Is that why? I could try rendering on like frame, like on a different frame. So rather than frame 0, I'm rendering on frame 1. That might be it. Yeah, it shouldn't take forever. Last time it took like a minute and a half and... Unable to pack Cactar, the Cosmic Zebra, and neck fluff. Oh, I know, because the Cosmic Zebra is... I moved that render of the Cosmic Zebra. It's keeping the packed image. Oh. Oh, a lot of these are making references to areas that are no longer... I'm going to need to unpack them again. Alright, so it's denoising them. Come on. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Alright, let's have a look. Let's have a look. That's better. That's good. It's not a huge difference. Also, this one here does not have like the same sort of lighting environment as we got there, but, you know. Alright, save. Alright, move this over here. Blender renders. 2016. Or no, it's sorry, not 2016. It's now 2024-07. It's now July. This is a PNG, and this is stream room corner. So that's our stream room corner. So this is what we got. All right, so let's have a look. So chatting background. So yeah, so that's what our room norm. So yeah, I have like so many new rooms. All right. Can I duplicate this? Copy, paste. Stop putting it like so far up. Ding, 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 ding. Sorry, give me a moment. Where the fuck? Oh. Alright, and then Blender render. Let's go to this one. Oh. Okay, hang on a second. I think I know what's happening. I think I know. So stream room corner camera. So So what's actually happening is it's more likely here. So -3 and 3. Is there any change to the perspective? Alright, so 25, and then it's not a 30. Is it a 35? Hang on. Ding dong. Hi there, little Incineroar. Welcome to the stream. I'm just trying to replicate this render I did, like, long ago. And, because I didn't keep the... Because, like... This is where I thought it was. It's close. Negative 2.8 and 2.9. And then... No, that's probably too dramatic. Alrighty. Shouldn't. Alrighty, let's... So that's where it was previously. And we're trying to replicate, like, this camera angle. So... Alright, so we need to have that light there in view. So that's what that does. And then we could probably... Use that there, and then... Nope. Okay, so we need to try and keep... So we need to keep the edge of that handle, and then the second rung. My goodness. Alright, hang on. So... Okay, I will be real with you. This is fairly pedantic nonsense, but this is my, like, this is just the pedantic nonsense that I have stuck in my head just because of, like, like, god damn it, how did I not keep the camera angle when doing this render? Did I just, like, randomly set it one day? I'm gonna need to, like, most likely look back. Yeah, no, that's not the same. So, let's see. Let's see. What issues do I have with this one? Not as much, I will be real with you. I feel like I'm too close for some reason. Please don't break. Okay. Nah, it's not the same. So I need to bring... Okay, so I need to bring in the... how am I gonna do this rotation? So... how am I gonna bring in this rotation? Because basically what I need to do is... So I need to pull in this... So I need to somehow pull this in and pull that. Like... I don't think I manipulated, like, because none of these have... Okay, that one has a different camera perspective. That one's a 33... Oh my god, is it a... And then camera corner is... Wait, which way is that camera corner fate? Ooh! Ooh, I did not keep track of the... Alright. Here comes the fun bit of me going through my Twitch VODs really quickly to see if I have ever done a render of my room. Processing too long. All right. Blender. Trying to decorate a room in Blender 3D. Was this it? Mute that, and then... Okay, so that's... Okay, here we go. Alrighty, now we just need to, now I just need to wait for when I click on the camera. Hi, Grant from the past. This is... Oh my gosh, come on. Get to the camera angle. Press num 0. You just press num 0. Was I ever that fucking pedantic with the door? My god, I put so much focus on that door. Jesus Christ. Big brain. Yes, big brain. Okay, so I went too far. I need to find the camera. I need to find the point when I actually like did this first. Come on. Okay, so I had a camera angle from... God damn it. God effing damn it. Alright, so the camera angle... Let me get the intro fighters up and like while I'm going through this thing, while I'm trying to find the camera angle that I... Cause here's the thing, is like I'm trying to see the settings here. That's how I'm gonna be doing it, is trying to find the Alright, so that's the TV I used to have there, but it was absolutely like just such a bleh TV. Ding, dun, 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 dun. Alright, here's what's happening. 2 times speed. Jesus Christ. What am I talking about at this point here? So there's the camera there. Do I never select the camera during this stream? I just been... Maybe from another time I did? So that was from August. Let's try this one. And then that was me trying to make a couch. Did not make that one very well. I probably need to go through that again. I probably need to go through making a couch again. And then, what was I making here? Pringles can and a top hat. Okay, so this room is the... I need to thank you for the mic advice the other day. Managed to pick a new mic up before the end of financial year. It's been doing great. Hey, excellent work. Good to hear. Hope it goes well. All right, so fucking that it was the stream room camera or whatever you that I did. Oh my god, and then it was like the light emissions are there. Because, like, look, it says stream room cam in that thing there. This file is no doubt being, like, saved over, like, dozens of times over, annoyingly enough. Like... It's this stream room cam here that's got all the changes, and it's like, erg. Come on. It's the infinite. Hey there. No, what I'm trying to do is... Hi, Benry. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find out what were my camera settings in terms of, like, rotation, position, and perspective. And this stream is when I was, like, doing renders within the room and what have you. Because as you can see here, but, like... Ugh. See, this is annoying, because it's like... That, because, like, that Blender file and what have you, like, I've saved over, like, probably dozens of times over at this point. And... Just, ugh. Did I do... Alright, so there's VTuber there. Teteru is there. Then we got bedroom. So it wouldn't have been bedroom. So all those models there. That's all the stuff from Pizza Polly. Ding dong. And there's my exercising. Balls, posing. Techtober. Tonight on, where am I? Tonight on, honey, where are my pants? Honey, where are my pants? It's none of those. It wouldn't be in the asset library. And then there's me fiddling around with Obscura. Gosh. Fucking damn it. The number of times I have, like, saved over in this room and I've not kept the stream room camera. So, because it's like streaming room renders. Because I've only got like 2 backups. And there's just GrantZeebs streaming. And then, so there's that. So yeah, that's me fucking around in Obscure. So then we go skipping all that. Come on, you son of a bitch, just... And then that's me fucking around with the TV for who knows how long. Every time I see that speech bubble, like a speech bubble pop up there, I keep thinking of like, oh, that's happening on my OBS. Like, god damn it. Ah. God damn it, Grant. Streamer, the camera perspective. God effing damn it. And there's no way for me to... no way to see that. Is it something from like early on? I'm thinking. I'm observing. And I fucked around with the normals. That was me doing the boxes. Oh, I have those cross hatches there. Riveting stream, I know. Okay. Ah. So yeah, so this room was done like 10 months ago. And I don't think I have a show more options, properties. Yeah, it's not kept. I've not kept any previous versions or anything like that. And then ding 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 ding. So I was fucking around with the squats there. So that's me fucking around with the door. I'm using the blocking. So I was trying to get an idea of like how big the zebra had to be. Uh-huh. Then there was an issue with rendering. Come on. Come on, I'm so close. And then... Grant, you idiot. You just don't have the... Okay, this might be it. Alright, hang on. Okay, so the focal length is 25. So we have at least that. So we have stream room camera corner. Yep, focal length is 25. Clipping is correct. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's right there. It's right there. All right. Oh my god, come on. Yeah, okay, so then I deleted it. Come on. And then I moved it up. Come on, Grant. Just double check the properties or something. Just come on. This is tense. God damn it. So we got rid of that, and then he did the text removal, deleting the hierarchy and the metals, and then he puts the door back in. And then he goes to the room photography. He goes back up to blocking. Ugh. I just want to know the dimensions. I just want to know what I put, like, oh my god, like... So many fucking cameras, and none of them, like, so close. Back up to 2 times speed. Alright. This is gonna take a while. I will probably need to just take a beat. I swear to Christ, if that... And then there's Blender Night. That was a year ago. And then... So that was December 2022. Titles containing Blender. Blender Night. Room. Trying to so I got that, trying to decorate a room. And then... What am I... Okay, so this is the bamboo thingy-majiggy I was trying to do. And then... This was the Pringles can. Decorate. So, August 11th, 2023. Ding. My god, I have so many streams. So there's August. So D&D night with the boys. Still on the patch content. Those Mondays, am I right? Echo holiday. D&D night with the boys. Sort of look should a mech pilot have? And then this was me texture editing, so that's not going to help. And then... Alright, so that's a game. What was I making here? Terrible sculpting, D&D night. Then I moved over to... Alright. Ah! You don't know... This is... frustrating, to say the least. Like, trying to... Like, I don't... It's not a necessity, but holy shit, does it, like... Trying to replicate this fucking... It's just, like... Hang on. Rotating from the... Okay, so... So from the Z cursor to then the bounding box. No. Negative 130. This is gonna annoy me. This is gonna annoy me to such a degree. I don't know if I should be staring forevers at this. Oh my god, Control Shift T. Sorry, I just cannot. How have I not... Oh snap, something went wrong with the page. Of course something went wrong with the page. Just... Ah! Can't go back to more... Because I've saved over... I know I've saved over the work, and I can't imagine that I've done this with, like, something else. It's just annoying. It's just like stream corner. Nah, don't think. Alright, fine. Stream room renders. I must have done. Because there's 2 stream room renders here, but they've all been recently. They've recently been saved over today as well. Maybe rooms? Let's see what happens. Or just not focus on it. Maybe that's the trick. Maybe I don't focus on the fucking Blender render at this moment here when it isn't doing anything important for me right now. It is not as important. So yeah, because like this... Because if I focus on it for too long, Lord knows it is just going to... It's just gonna rue my... It's just gonna rue the day. And yet I can't stop staring. And yet I cannot stop. So yeah, perspective of 33, negative 1. Like... I need to stop. I need to actually I need to close Blender. I can't keep looking at it. I fucked up the render like camera. I never kept it in the same spot. The stream room camera just And I do not know if there is another... I just don't know if I've done another, I just don't know. I just don't know if I've, you know, saved, like, a separate thingy-a-madiggies. There's rooms, but that's not the same. So the stream room renders, and... Have I alienated people now? Do I just have, like, no one... Please, someone's here, right? Benru and Eng... I don't know who's here. I don't know who's focusing right now. Who knows? Yeah, because stream room just... How have I not... Gotta be back. Would there have been backups? No. And I doubt I've... Why do I do this to myself? Cause like, I'm just obsessed. Is that it? I just cannot... Offline, there's room. Wouldn't have been any of those. It's not the kit bash. I should have like more blend. I think that's what I'm having to come to terms with, is like maybe have like more blend backup files, so then that way rather than just having 2, it's like, oh, we're gonna have like 3 or 4. Maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe the trash can has something? Hang on. Now my brain is just cooked. Have I alienated people? Sound off. Who's not dead? God damn it. Just the... Who's not dead? Sound off. And everyone's just like groaning. I didn't keep any previous versions. Would I have had... Would I have the blend file elsewhere? Don't know if I would, is the thing. How is this sorted? Date deleted. Group by item type. So hopefully we got applications, we got AVs, we got blends. It's probably not there. How have I... Just a regular fucking goof, aren't I? Barely an understanding of like how I did anything. Oh my god, I have so many folders though. What is up with that? Why so many folders? Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Alright. No. I gotta move on. I can't be focusing on this thing here. 'Cause who knows, like... It's gonna be some weird angle is what it's gonna be between like this and that. God damn it. Ah. I've done a terrible job getting back into streaming, haven't I? I have not been keeping to the promises. I have not done my best to only do what needed to be done. Properties. Previous versions. There are no previous versions available. Previous versions from file history or from restore points. Maybe I need to learn how to set that up. Because then that way I can do backups. Ooh, okay, hang on a second. File history. Searching for drive. Saves copies so that you can get them back if they're lost or damaged. So if I... That's going to be a settings thing I'm going to need to turn on. Because maybe I can do a file history thing where it goes into the network drive, but I don't know if it will let me set the location to a network drive. The worst part is that I've probably done the Blender render with the camera angle set at like the silliest like sort of dimensions and what have you. Like I haven't actually done like a really good job maintaining the yeah. Yep. I've not done a great job maintaining like where it was gonna go and what have you. Alright, let me start slapping my stuff all back together again. Ding dong. How long have I been going at this? Jesus Christ. Almost 2 hours! Almost 2 hours of just no proper thing. My goodness. Well, one day. Maybe one day I'll, like, you know, properly replicate it. Or, you know, find what this camera angle. There must be a way for me to be able, like, maybe I just need to have it as like a quote-unquote background to the, like, so make it so that the walls and all that are gone, so then that way I can so rather than having it a ding dong file history select folder, and then select OK. So yeah, maybe I just need to like create like a background for the camera or something for it to always stare at, and then I just do an overlay thing, so then that way I just freehand it, where I'm like, oh, like a gimbal, I'm just sort of like trying to move it around, so then that way I can align it to, because there's a lot of things in this environment I can try and align the camera to. And it's probably just a case that I can't do it, like, you know, having my head look from one screen to the other screen, like, back and forth really quickly. I just need to have it so it's like an overlay over top, so then that way I can try and do all the rotations from there. Who knows? So, but yeah, back to my notes. Hopefully I'll catch someone's attention. Although, everyone could have just disappeared at this point, for all I know. Possibly. I have probably alienated everyone. Advertisements ought to go off in, like, 2 minutes, so most likely, and... God, I wasted time, didn't I? I wasted so much fucking time. Oh, Code sent me a thing. Oh, he likes a new rotation in Monk. Yay, good for him. I'm glad he's enjoying it. I know he was like surprised about the changes and such. He hasn't tried Viper yet or anything like that, but I know other people have been trying out the Viper and Pictomancer in Final Fantasy XIV. I have not picked any of those. I have not played any other DPS. I have not played any DPSs in Final Fantasy. I have stuck to my 4 tanks, and I'm trying to get them up to level 90, while also trying to do a little bit of like just catching up on the side content, such as any alliance raids I weren't doing, such as the ones from Stormblood or Endwalker. I got the alliance raids from Stormblood done. Endwalker I'm not yet done with, because I have like one more alliance raid to do with that one, because that one is a crossover with Nier Automata. But I have done like the normal raids, so like the Eden arc, that one I've got done. That one was kind of cool. Hence why you get the image of like Happy Pride that I sent off like a whiles ago. That was pretty cool. I do need to catch up on Final Fantasy XIV at some point. Knew the break wouldn't continue to teach for long. But yeah. Anywho, Sippies. There we go. Quick sippies. But yeah, so I need to get back into... I need to get through the MSQ of Final Fantasy XIV at some point. Probably... Maybe this Saturday. Maybe it'll either be this Friday or this Saturday. I'll probably make it this Saturday, because that's like the normal MMO time for me. And using that, we'll be able to, you know, get through... Brain, come on, you can do this. So yeah, try and get through as much of, not just the MSQ, so then that way I'm not missing out on Dawn Trail, because I think Dawn Trail comes out either today... It comes out, I think, tomorrow for the Americans and all that kind of such. It's available ahead of time. Oops, missed 2 hours of debriefing. Hi, Izzy! Hi, Izzy. Welcome to the stream. It was about half an hour of debrief. Oh, god damn it, there's an advertisement. I'm sorry, Izzy. Ads had to run when... Where's my mouse? Oh, there it is. Ugh. I'm sorry, Izzy, that, like, oh my gosh, because here's the thing, is that, hopefully Izzy will be back after the advertisements, because, like, I was just, like, sort of, because it was probably half an hour of debriefing, and then there was, like, me for, like, an hour or however long, like, trying to do some, like, 3D Blender nonsense, and I've fucked up, because I have, like, the stream cam that I have that rendered this scene, I did not keep track of its dimensions, like what its rotation and location was. So when I tried doing it again, you see how there's, like, this little shift? So I need to try and, like, get rid of that. Granted, it's not as bad as this, but this used to be, like, this was such a boring thing. The lines are getting a little boiled. If it helps, I don't see ads. Ah, okay. The lines are getting a little boiled. What do you mean the lines are getting a little boiled? I don't 100% understand that. Also, ding dong. Oh, I'm gonna need to... Ah! I knew I was gonna be streaming today, and yet I'm just so distracted. Give me a minute. Need to make sure I got the name right. Ah, okay. Fair enoughsies. You do you. Oh my god, I can warn... But yeah, like, this stream has been a bit of a... Like, I knew I was going to be going off and so... Ed, and Eddie. Yeah, I know of Ed, and Eddie. I don't, like... Hang on a second. Ed, and Eddie. So... Oh, do you just mean blurred? The way their outlines wobble around. Oh, yep. I know what you're talking about. So, like, how it doesn't, like, that's what line boiling is. Ah, okay, cool. So, yeah, so, okay, so you're talking about how in the background here, let me, like, this is probably gonna annoy you, but how, because this is the camera angle that I had for this render of, like, let me just get myself out of the way. Hang on a second. So, like, this is what it, like, looks like and what have you. And then I tried doing a new render, but the camera... I didn't maintain, like, the camera angle and such, so it does this. You see how there's, like, there's a slight alteration. I know what it is. Those chairs are way too small for me, but it's for guests. Yeah, it's just for guests. It's just for guests. You don't have to. It's not for me. I'll probably like. Well, here's the thing as well. Is like I'm pretty sure that chair does sit me. Like I'm a very top heavy zebra is the thing. Also, hi there, Ryer Burr. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for coming along. Welcome. You're a streamer, aren't you? Your name sounds familiar. No, you're an artist though. Nice. But yeah, I am back into streaming. Although it is, I'm gonna be real with you, it is just a little bit jank. Because I did not have a proper plan for how long I was gonna be talking before moving on to another video game or anything like that, even though I have all these talking points in like a text file, and I've been going like, you know, from one thing to another. But yeah, I showed off the new cork board that I have. Let me actually like change the browse and where is it? 2024. So I made a cork board for fan art and such, and this is what it looks like. So this is what I have at the start of my streams now. For instead of having like a Twitch instead of having like a series of Twitch clips of, you know, what you might be expecting and such, for this morning's stream, I instead had it where it was this cork board. And because of conversation about this cork board, there then came the thought of, oh, I should put this in there. I should put it there. So instead of having the GrantZeebs in this like back corner here, I should put the cork board. And when I tried doing that, I was really like hung up over the camera angle. So, and then I ended up watching myself on YouTube for like half an hour, maybe more, trying to find the dimensions, like what the rotation and what the position was of the camera from like a previous Twitch VOD. But by then I was probably alienating a lot of my viewers. So peeps like Incineroar, Angrel, Benru, and Wolk, my moderator. Oh my god, Wolk is like a 3D artist and such, and he was probably watching this thing of just being like, oh my god, Grant. He's just like having his hand in his head of just like, my goodness, you saved over your work, you idiot. So yeah, so he's probably, you know, he's probably gone off and done his own thing, or he started his day at work or what have you, because it's a Monday and a lot of people are working on Monday, but our office experiments with the 4-day work week every like second week or something. So yeah, and because of, you know, not working today, I was like, July 1st sounds like a good time to go back into streaming and show off, like, talk about like, you know, what has changed and what's good or what's bad. What's bad or what's good and what's changed. So the bad news is I do not know how to make this render in the exact same camera angle again, and I'm gonna have to spend some time like fiddling around in Blender trying to make this render again. So that's gonna be a fun one to do. Hopefully it won't, like, I can kind of visualize of like, oh, what I need to do is I need to somehow, using this image as a reference, angle my camera to be in line with the bookshelf that's over there and the couch that's behind me. So there's that. Then I also need to come up with it. You could just take a screenshot of the old render and layer it on top of the model. Yeah, so either way, it's going to be a lot of fandangling and what have you that I'm going to do off stream, because looking at like my chat when I was, you know, before I started doing all that 3D stuff to looking at it now, maybe it's because I'm streaming on a Monday and it's now entering into like the evening where a lot of Americans are not awake and what have you, but I have essentially of like, I feel like I've, you know, I had a lot of people in here of like, yay, Grant's back. I wonder, is he going to be playing Final Fantasy or is he going to go back into Yakuza? And then the next thing they know, I'm watching myself on YouTube and they're like, what are you doing? So yeah, rather than like, you know, talking about any of the things that happened in the past. Actually, bam. While I've been off for the last month, Izzy, you have been streaming a few times as well, and you've done some really cool art. Oh, and you went and played Dicey Dungeon. How's it been? I'm leaning on you to see if there's any, like, talking points I want to get into or something, or rather, because, like, let's see, talking points I have. Summer Games Fest and new games. I've forgotten all the games. I just like this. I'm so sorry, Izzy. I'm a mess. I'm broken and I'm a mess. I'm broken. Ugh. So that's one of the things I need to figure out is like why, like when I move my arms away, like when I do this, like my hand is behind my head, and yet somehow the leap motion thinks there is a hand popping up. You spent the last week off and you streamed on like 2 of the days. Dicey Dungeon stream ended with your with your modem dying. Sorry, I read modern instead of modem. I'm sorry to hear that. So, but yeah. What is Dicey Dungeons? Never heard of that one before. Hang on. Open a new tab. Dicey Dungeons. You become a giant walking dice. You explore dungeons and you defy Lady Luck in the dice-powered roguelike. Okay. So, like, you roll a set of dice and you try to... And you're trying to use, like, your dice face to do, like, some sort of actions? Huh. That's an interesting one. My goodness. Closer to a puzzle game than it is a roguelite. Fair enough. Like, I guess, like, when you have, like, all the time in the world, quote-unquote all the time in the world, to think, it's more of a puzzle than a rogue. Because rogue kind of wants you to, like, think fast and on your feet. You're a handful of cards that you drop dice into. Okay. Hi there, Wolf Zeta. Welcome to the stream. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad there's people coming in and saying hi. I was really worried that I like ruined people's day. That's a Raging Wolf helm. That's cool. This badge was earned for watching Elden Ring during the initial Shadow of the Erdtree expansion launch. Oh, do I have that? Do I have that badge? Yeah, I do as well. Okay, I do have that. All right, cool. Nice. But yeah, hi there, Wolf. Welcome to the stream. So yeah. My goodness, I need to be better with my planning. I need to have like a better idea of what I was going to be doing today, because I was just like, oh, Monday, I guess I'm going to be back into it or something, or rather, with no actual plan in place of what I was going to do. So, I need to fix that. So, Lord knows I will be doing more streaming, like... I'm not gonna like stream once this week and just be like, yep, cool, peace, and then just move and then go on break for another month. That's for sure. It's also because there's a very small number of permutations per episode level, so there's very little in terms of spontaneity. Okay. Okay. Closer to a puzzle than a rope. Okay, so that's the reason. So that's the reasonings why, is because of the episodic nature, it doesn't have like that much like of the diversity between like how one run goes versus another. Okay. All right, that's cool. I wonder, I guess, what else do I talk about? It's at this point I now need to refer to my notes. I wrote these, and here's the thing, is that I've talked about this, the flying again to the US of A. Fun fact, my grandfather really wants to see me in Christmas, so because of that, I need to go to the United States, and that's going to be expensive as fuck. Oh, my thumb? Hello? Oh, oh. Why doesn't the thumb doesn't work as well as why doesn't it? Like, Damn it. Why? Okay, what is up with my thumbs? Like, okay. They're pointing upwards, but... if it helps, return streams are always like this. Okay, so they always are. I guess if it's not like a re-debut or anything like that, like, hang on a second. Yeah. There's just like these two giant dots here. There's the light there, giant dot there, giant dot there. Why are you invisible here? Maybe I need to come up with like a different camera angle. Because like this is like chest mounted and what have you, and it's like... Eek. Hang on, there we go. And then... Yeah, look at that. Like... Interesting. Show distortion. There we go. Yep, devices inverted. Man, that's a shame. This is what I should have been. But yeah, weirdly enough, thumbs up aren't... Huh. Chai's last stream was just a farce of things misbehaving. Yeah, but the thing is that like so many people are trying to get Chai's attention, like when they're in chat and what have you. Hi there, Jason. Welcome to the stream.
31-month tier 1 sub. Hey and WB Grant.
Hi, welcome back. Sorry, I was like looking at the Leap Motion 2 on my like how it was like looking at my fingers and such. Because one of the things I've noticed is the thumbs, like, as you can see here, they don't do, like, this is me doing a thumbs up right now. Oh my gosh. I should have. And Wolk's not here to see it. Wolk's not here for the moment of like, oh hey, thumbs ain't working. Ugh. I wonder, can I break my thumbs in the... Hang on. Mark 6, Mark 7. Which one did I edit most recent? So that was on the 25th, that was on the 11th, that was on the 9th. Okay. So the most recent one is the Mark 7. I wonder if there's a way for me to, like, break my thumbs. Streamer quote. Look, you can add quotes. Like, hang on a second. Like, maybe I need to start, like, reminding people, hey, you can do quotes and what have you. I used to have it as like a timed like message, like all the whiles, but then I think I turned it off after a bit because I was getting a lot of quotes. Actions, and then quote message. Test trigger. Okay, so I need to add the, I need to add the timed action here. So, plug quote timer. Is that what yeah, so plug quote timer. Why can it not tell me, like, you know, who, what you like? Why can't I see like I wish there was a way of like sorting the actions by triggers, like oh, this trigger does these actions or something. I need to set up my stream chat messages more. Quote, I wonder if I can break my thumbs. Oh, I actually, hang on a second. I think I have actually limited who can do my quotes. Hang on a second. Settings, where's quotes? All right, so the minimum was moderators and allowing for subscribers. So yeah, That'll need to be done by like a moderator or someone. Actually, I should probably. There we go. Are we talking about StreamBot? Yes. Hi there, Pox. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing? I'm using StreamerBot. So, oh, and then Izzy does Sam. So Sammy, StreamerBot, mix them up. Like, there's a lot of good there's a lot of good stream, like, you know, robots for managing your streams out there. I personally like StreamerBot just because that was the one that was first shown to me by Nutty and does like C# coding and all that kind of nonsense. So that one, like, I'm a little more comfortable using and what have you than most others. Oh, I know exactly what I need to do. All right, I know exactly what I need to do for the thumbs. I need to. Here's the unfortunate bit: is why doesn't the thumb? Wait, is there a way for me to just tell Vignon of like, oh, if you're gonna do the tracking of the thumbs, like, do the tracking with like, you know, a lot more. Let's see, show to hand distance, mirror, arm. Okay, so there's no settings to tell it to break my thumbs or what have you when I want to, like, because here's the thing is I want to do a thumbs up. This is what a thumbs up is. They have, Erg. I wonder, is there some way? Biggie Sads. Where is the thought? It's gone. I'm probably gonna need to, actually, you know what? If I go into Discord, look, where is it? I'm not a huge fan of this. I'm not a huge fan when people are like, "Oh, do you have like a question about our software, or do you want to and open a support ticket? Come check our Discord." I'm like, "No, normally I would not want that, but unfortunately, that is probably the best." All right, thumbs, bent thumb, backward thumbs when using bent thumbs. Let's have a look. Also the, so yeah, because I know. So yeah, I think I know what the problem is with my. Let me go back to the game screen. So this is what my hand normally looks like. So that's interesting. Yeah. So also, let me just get the camera up. This is what the hand looks like, and it can do the whole spreading out thing. But see how this thumb is like, you know, straight up, but then, you know, you look at the. Yeah. Have you tried turning leap motion off and on again? It's... Here we go. So if you turn it off, let me do the cookie thing. So there's the cookie. And then there it goes off again. We turn it on. You made a funny redeem, Pox? Interesting. Alright, color me curious. What is this redeem? All the way... Oh, like... Disconnected. No, this is honestly a tracking. A little annoyed that it's like... Can be visible, but it's relative to the position of your character's chest bone. It's recommended you adjust the position while pointing your hands forward to find the height and distance that works the best for you. Should be adjusted based on the orientation of the physical device. Yes, the joys of streaming. Here's the annoying thing, is like you tell it to show device, it does not. Oh, there it is, right there. Like, it's in fucking invisible. Your other alternative is turning... Well, here's the thing, is like, not gonna do that while I'm in the middle of streaming. Also, is this... Also, I need a... 1? $19. 2.5. Gonna put that back to 0, and then... Negative 0.25. Yeah, and it doesn't go all the... I
Give
need
me
to up
that
this...
leg, boy.
What let? Oh, mind if I DM you a clip? Yeah, no, that's fine. My DM should be open if you're in my Discord and what have you, because I need to listen out for whatever. Once again, I am... Okay, maybe this is the trick, is I just make it like 3 times, so then that way the There we go. Let me make it 2. That way, it exaggerates the movement. There we go. But yeah. Alright, cool. Alright, that works. That actually works amazing. And then... What does it look like on the camera, I wonder? Open control panel. So yeah, it has a bit of a moment. But yeah, see how it like... Anywhoosies. Close that. But yeah, so that's the, so I think what I need to have happen is that this hand here, instead of it being, like, opened up like this, where it has, like, you know, sort of that halfway thing, I think it needs to be opened up so it's like, individual origins. I think it needs to be opened up like that in a way. So then that way when I do the thumbs up, because I think this is like meant to be going into like a thing. But here's the problem. Normally making those kinds of changes to the hand are like, they're a fucking pain. Because here's the thing is like you need to set, so you need to not only set this mesh now to be this, but you then need to go into the armature and change the resting pose. Because that's what it's posed. And that's what it looks like at rest. See how there's like a... So that's what it looks like normally and what have you at rest. So I'll need to adjust it so then it's like that. But yeah. No, do not save the changes. And ding dong. So that's the fun that I'm gonna be doing. I'll actually, you know what? I'll just put that in my notes. Hang on a second. I have another notepad for Wolk. So I don't know how they're gonna feel about this, but because I haven't talked to them about it yet. But I have a notepad of all the different, like, because I want to go through a model refresh with my zebra at one point. It's not going to happen this year because I now need to save up for traveling to the United States and being there for about 3 weeks. Or is it 2 weeks? 2 weeks, I think. 2 weeks. I now have to save money up for, you know, traveling to the United States and what have you. My goodness. I now need to save money for traveling to the United States and what have you. So I can't put any money towards my new Zebra or anything like into like, you know, saving up for a new Zebra or into a home or anything like that. I now need to save money to travel. All right. But yeah, I have like this text file of like all these different. Okay, I don't like that. I don't like how that is. All right, maybe I should shrink that down to 1.5. So I still do all that, and then that goes a little bit above my head. What in the world? It's only when I start doing this that I start noticing, like... Oh, it's because, like, this camera... It's because this leap motion actually is just literally interpreting the hand, just, like... And then it just has, like, moments of... My goodness, is this... Hang on. Maybe I do need to set this up in a new spot. Alright, hang on. Let's set you a little bit lower. Try and set you forward. Yeah, alright, so I now need to... And also, yeah, and it just, like, loses tracking there. It loses tracking with my hand being there, and I need to have it, like... Oh, even when I'm, like, having it on a mouse, it doesn't track it. My goodness. Well, I'll chalk that up to Vignon and its like fun little nonsense and trying to do all the things that I wanted to do. All right, you sent me a message though, didn't you? Hang on, ding dong. You don't need to send friend requests. You can just send me a message. Hang on. Dink. Wave. Your message cannot be because you don't share a server with a recipient or a recipient is only accepting direct. Oh. We're not sharing a server anymore. Okay, that's the problem. Oh, and I got a piece of art of you from you? What? When did you give me this? Hang on. LMNOP. When did that happen? My goodness, I am so far behind on, like, things that have been given to me at this point. What the shit? When was this a thing? When did you give me art? And why did I not save this? I am so sorry. You gave, like, hang on a second. Do you mind if I, hang on. What's the context of, so, I told you how to do the thingy-madoogies. Wait, no, hang on. We have mutual, oh, okay, so we do share mutual servers with Sashera and, Dazzy, but your settings are set up where you don't accept direct messages unless they're friends. Okay. So yeah, because I was looking at this, I was like, yeah, we said hi to we said hi to each other last year, and then I was trying to help you out with like being able to communicate, and then something about Penguin host, and then you said hi. This is for you. Always wanted to draw you. You drew that to me in March this year. What the? And then I asked, I don't think I joined the Discord yet, but I can just tweet it on Blue Sky. And then you did tweet it on Blue Sky. Did I at least like and retweet that? Yes, I did like and retweet that. Holy, like, how did I miss this? Okay, so you did a clip for Dino Nuggies. Don't know how to undo it. No, it's okay, it's okay. Oh, Actually, no, the best way to undo it is it's in user settings and it's under privacy and safety. So hang on a second. So so you want to allow Dink. So hang on, let me just get a screenshot of. So yeah, you want to. So yeah, so there's like two things you want to enable. Nice. Excellent work. Love it. Excellent work. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. The joys of streaming. Your other is turning off. So yeah. But yeah, so back to the thing I was talking about previously. I have a text file of like, because I do want to go through a model refresh with my zebra. I want to have a redo over my zebra because, you know, when I first, so this was because this zebra was first done like 4 years ago. This was done before streaming was the aim of the game or anything like that. This was made with like much different mindset and intentions. And after streaming for a little while and trying to use like Vignon for all the stuff, yeah, there's a few things that I would like to that I would have run different. Also, am I not facing straight forward? Like, hang on a sec, because like if I look here, that's where my over there. Do you have like no sense of rotation? Yeah, okay. But yeah, so brain, come on. So so yeah, so there's like some stuff make your shirt bigger. That make it so that it covers up this like little mid section, like this little like actually you can't see it because there's a desk in the way, but actually let me hide that desk. Hang on a second. Where's the foreground elements? This. I wanna cover up this like slutty little middle. That's one of the updates that I would like to have done to the zebra model. So it's small. It's things like that where it's like, oh, you know, different sort of attire, way more outfits. So then that way I have an option to like do all kinds of like different because I can do the texture edits. I can do like small objects and such. I still cannot do clothing or an actual character model. That is outside of my control. So, but yeah, I have like you know, notes of like, oh, you know, design wise being able to do this and you know, like changing things like the jaw of my Z because like this is not a normal horse thing. The jaws of horses don't go this far back. They just go to like here. So there's all kinds of changes that I want to do. Anyway, design mesh. Here we go. Mesh. Greater topology at hands. Setting the thumbs so they can thumbs up using leap motion Vignon. All right. I've added that note. I'm glad that I remembered that one. So, because yeah, I have like, because there's like things where it's like, oh, there's some stuff which is outfits, some that are design, which I don't really have too much of a care of how they were done. But then there's like mesh things that I want, such as like a clear cut at the wrists. So then that way I know like where I'm like, you know, that way if I ever want to replicate the mesh or anything like that. So that is so weird that if I close it, it's like that. But then if I try and open it up, it only goes to that. Weird. I wonder if... Do they... Interesting. But yeah, also, hi there, Night Sky. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing all right. Good evening and welcome. But yeah, there's all kinds of things that I would like edits to the zebra and such, and it's like I'll probably like I'll go to Wolk and like have money and do the whole like hi, I would like to hire you again and make a zebra, and these are the following things and what have you. So there's that. Save those changes. Setting the alright, sticking the thumbs out so they can thumbs up using leap motion. So yeah, all right, so cool. So I've added that node in. I don't need that. But yeah, so all right, what's up? So I've already talked about the flying to the US of A. I probably need to do a little bit more on my coffee and what have you. Oh,
Phantom with the 20-month tier 1 sub.
Phantom, thank you so much.
Hi, cute small boy.
Hi, Phantom. The zebra's like 7 foot tall. He's not exactly small. Thank you so much for subscribing for the last 20 months. I greatly appreciate it. You don't have to deal with any of the advertisement that comes up once an hour, and you get to use all the fun little emotes that are available. I have the buttons here. Look at that. Look at all the emotes. Your line is 10.6. Yeah, I know. Okay, I understand the line is 10.6, but it's a case of, like, small is something you, like, associate to things that are, like, 5 foot or less. Like, not important. Not important right now. Yeah, so I need to probably have a think about, like, adding some things to my coffee. I think one of the things I definitely will add to my coffee is, like, maybe I will start putting, like, 3D objects in there. Because, like, I was able to make the Icy Pops from scratch, and the thumbtacks. Do my space dragons count? That sounds like you're gonna go into, like, macro fight. No, we're not doing a macro fight. You heard US of A. Yes. I am going to have to save up money because I am going to the United States in December for Christmas and New Year's, because my grandfather would very much like to see me, and it is fucking expensive up there. So I need to like have a better job of saving my money, which I'm not in a good place to do that right now because the rent is crazy, and I can't really quit, and I can't, like, add another person to try and divide my rent and my bills because I don't have a room ready for, like, adding a second person or anything like that. So the best I can do is diversify my portfolio, so then that way I have more than one area of getting my income. It's expensive, but depending on where you're at. Washington, D.C. / Virginia. Washington, D.C. / Virginia is where I'm going to be going. Spending it all on zebra plushies. I've not been spending it on zebra plushies, thank you very much. My guilt and my desires are much more simple than that and less egotistical. I've been spending it on hamburgers and chicken nuggies. Like, Izzy, I don't know if that Izzy knows this, but, like, I am so fucking fat. Like, if like this, my body type is this, but, if I was actually, like, more, in line, like, I should be fatter. Yes. Where is it? Here it is. This is the other thing as well, is like, look at this. Look at the normal maps and how, like, the dips and things have been drawn into the texture. So, but yeah, I've seen some fursuit pics. Yeah, you've seen some fursuit pics. Like, like, body type wise, cookie for Phantom. Here's your cookie, Phantom. Body type wise, I am not my zebra. Like, and really, if I was trying to go for a goal, it would be, what's his name? What's his name from the... Ow! Phantom, thank you for the 90... I don't think 90 bits does anything. I don't think I've set a thing for 90 bits. Hang on a second. Drive, ding. I don't think I've set anything for 90 bits, sorry. Also, oh my goodness. I don't like this whole, like, rotating at the hips thing for my That's the thing I need to fix. What was I looking up? Oh, what's his name? Who the fuck is deciding? All right, so Laus Toden. I'm probably not saying the name correctly, but if I was to have a goal on body type, it would be Laus Toden. Here's the thing, however. I am not 6 foot. So that's not the thing that's going to be doing it. But I need to try and do the body portion. But here's the thing, is anytime people do fan art of Laus, they don't make him like a crazy strong human normally. Like they do the autism thing for him and such. But what they do is they still make him a bit of a himbo, and they just give him like a little bit of pudge, which I really which I think is like that I think is more body positive and such like that. Is that he's still strong and he's still lovable, but he's not like, you know, Brad Pitt lacking fat kind of thing. Give me a second. Let me find an image of like. It's gonna be in my likes somewhere. Give me a second. It's gonna be somewhere here, no doubt. Or did I remember to be an actual like proper lad and bookmark it? Ding. N Greentail. I'm pretty sure. N Greentail. Yeah. Yep. That's the artist. Like, look at this. Look at this art. Look at this art of our boy from Dungeon Meshi, from Delicious in Dungeon. Leader of the adventuring party. Like, what's more is like his build. His build, like, apparently like his build, like from the artist that has actually like drawn on him like for the manga and such like that as well, hasn't gone like a crazy proportions either. Like, I don't know. There seems to be a bit of a renaissance of averaging out the build. So, hang on. What's another... what's his name? Kaiju number 8. That's it. What's the name of that character? Kafka. So, there's another character named Kafka who, come on, there's got to be an image of him where... Like, granted, as a kaiju, he is built like a brick shithouse. But the thing is that, like, he's not the, it's, once again, he's not like a 20-some-year-old with, like, all this mass and none of this fat. The dude is in his 30s. The dude is in his 30s. I love how that Skies thing is just like, the dude, like Kafka Hibano is in his 30s, which is like, holy shit, we have an anime where the main protagonist isn't just this 20-something fresh out of like university or something like that. It's a 30-some-year-old who's just decided, you know what? I don't want to stay a cleaner forever. I want to be part of the military. You been enjoying it? But yeah, again, he's like 181 centimeters though. I am like 6 or 7 centimeters off from all these different people. I'm like 175 centimeters, 177, somewhere around there. I am not a tall fella. But like, oh, just... the wish. So yeah, yeah. Any whoosies. Okay, I don't need to keep any... But yeah, Kafka, Hibano, and... Actually, I should... You know what? I'm gonna put that in my notes. Hang on a second. I need to put that in my notes again. Hang on. Open... I need to keep this model refreshed. Okay, so design-wise, put more bulk in the middle or so. Laus, Toden, parentheses, Delicious in Dungeon, and Kafka Hibino from Kaiju number 8. There we go. All right, cool. Feel bad for the MC. His best friend is awesome and he got left behind. Oh yeah, no, his like his best friend, like, you know, she was a prodigy and he was just sort of left behind because he didn't succeed. And it was one of those cases of like, oh, like you can't, he tried like once or twice, but it didn't work out. So, but yeah, then he like, you know, gets kaiju powers and all that kind of nonsense. So should be good. Should be good. I'll like it. So yeah, and then let us see. Genuine question, but do the just. Also, I think I got the wrong named. Hang on a second. There it is. Boy. But yeah, follow H. Oh yeah, so Phantom has been following me for the last like 2 years. Sky has been following me for the last 3 years. Wait, have you seriously been following me for the last 3 years? Jesus. Nice work. But yeah, stream anniversary will be this Saturday, and I have done nothing for the stream anniversary this Saturday. So, you know, that's that. I will need to figure something out at a different time. It's probably not going to be party game streams. I'm going to be real with me. So, where am I in my train of thought? Bing, 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 bing. Brain. Come on. But yeah, so I gotta try and save money up, and I gotta try and find, like, I might, like, start, like, I'm probably gonna set a goal in my coffee, and I'm gonna start adding items to my coffee. Because, actually, I should probably, actually, let me just ask. I'm gonna ask. I should probably ask. Okay, so not in my gift art. Here it is, and here's the temps. Ding. Dong. Bing, 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 bing. Where is blue? Because I'm gonna be real. I might make a coffee and make it so that people can buy 3D objects that I've created. So that way they have like some. Where the fuck is blue?
Hello.
Hello, Sage. Welcome back. Your party is finished. Nice. So yeah, because I made some icicles for blue. I've made the lightsaber. I've done the silly party horn and the Pringles cans. Like, I could probably like just start making all kinds of like different random objects and what have you. Like, I made the love heart. That was something. Has the big Zeebs how has the big Zeebs been? Because it's been a while. It has been a while. It has been a month. I have gained 3 or 4 kilograms. I can't remember how much. But I gained weight this month because even though I was off from streaming, I still had to work full time, and I've only really had last week as like an actual week off to like, you know, recover and all that kind of nonsense. So yeah, but I got back into streaming today. I have not done a really good plan. I am just, you know, trying to get back into the swing of things, so it is what it is. But yeah, hi Jason. What else have I missed? You could be fatter. I've seen those fursuit pics. I'm curious which ones now. But the fursuit pics are probably not important, so. You know what? You know what I want to do, chat? I want to play Final Fantasy 14. I want to play Final Fantasy 14. Would that be alright? Try and get through some of the main scenario and what have you, and just, you know, see how we go. Nice work! Oh my, it doesn't do enough of a neck up. Oh my goodness. They really need to increase, like, the amount of rotation there is with, like, you know, the neck and what have you. I'll need to ask how to do that, no doubt. I will need to ask that. Because no one's gonna have a simple answer for me. Alright, here's what we're gonna do. We return after further to talk about... Stop. For this, just... FFXIV. And then over into... Alright, give me a second. Oh no! Don't de-himbo me like this! And then Final Fantasy 14 Online. There we go. Alright, so Sage is doing good. A bit tired from as the party was a lot, but it's alright as long as it was good and productive break. Also, there's just more of you to hug then. Doesn't look very de-himboed. This is very de-himboed, okay? Look at this. Look at all the lack of muscle on me. I've lost so much. Right in front of my salad. Exactly. Also, do I need to... No. Alrighty. Did I... Yep. Save the changes. And then... Turn off the... Turn on the... Done. And then... Need to stop the background music. Oh my god, it's so fucking loud.
Blue seas, clear skies, and boundless possibilities. I dare say
So this is Dawn Trail.
Enjoying yourself for a change?
And this is supposed to be the Warrior of Light. We're not a human, we're a Viera, but I'm gonna be real. We still do not have hats on the Viera and the Rothgar, so it's very much interested to, I'm very much interested in perhaps instead of sticking to a instead of sticking to the Viera forever, I might use a Fantasia to like be something else. Did you do something to your model? Because you're looking and flowing a lot more smoothly. I did do something to my model, actually. I did. Thank you for catching on to that, Sage. I mentioned this, like, granted, this was all talked about, like, back at the start. Rather than using VC Face to do the face tracking, the webcam, and the leap motion tracking. Rather than using the VC Face to do all that, I only have the I have the webcam not doing anything. The iPhone still does the tracking. The leap motion does the tracking. But instead of it going through VC Face to get to Vignon, it's all through Vignon. There are some troubles, however. First and foremost, the leap motion is not perfect. So this is me doing a thumbs up. There's like, you wouldn't know I'm doing a thumbs up. It's like perfect, and like, look at this. Like, this is, like, and this is me, like, making a fist. And it, like, tips. I've asked, like, Wolf for a little bit of help to try and fix some of this stuff, but, you know. I think it's just one of those cases where I might need to send it over to the Vignon Discord to just be like, hey, how do we fix it so that if our hands look like this, that we can do a thumbs up? Because, like, right now it looks like this, where it just looks like I'm making a Okay. Also, I'm just like really... Oh, hang on. Hands? Why are the hands not doing a thing? Oh, because it's not loaded yet. Paving for... Alright. Are we back? Reload stream? Yeah, most likely. Please, as... Yay, we're back. Alrighty. Okay, just give me a few. I need to... So was it... So the leap motion still isn't running right now. Most likely... I need to also double check, like, where the error, like, arisen. So it looks like Avermedia had a bit of a problem. Hello? There we go. All right, hands are back. And, yep, thumbs up are still broken. That's to be expected. And then the Gigabyte OLED display services crashed. And then my SQL crashed. Hi there, Garrett Lusario, not safe for work. Welcome to the stream. I'm sorry to say, but also, why is the thingy-majiggy blank? Oh, because it's not loaded yet. But it looks like something is supposed to explode, which looks really cool. But yeah, welcome. Welcome. I just crashed, so I'm trying to get things back up and running, so you'll have to forgive me as I'm trying to do all that. Yay, that's cool. I see that dance. Nice. Error reporting. Okay, so... Yeah, it looks like the Avermedia Central Service crashed. Alrighty then. So, from the sounds of it... game sources, Avermedia... Yeah, I think I know what happened. Avermedia was like... The video capture was like running or something or rather in OBS... But because I didn't have it actually doing anything, it just, you know, it probably had like a really hard time. And then after running for however long I left it running, it then had to, it just, you know, screwed the pooch. All right, let's have a look at the system error. When was that? That was at 12:33. Where it had to ungraciously restart. Let's have a look. Game inputs were failing to terminate. Yep, looked like a lot of things were just having a fun moment. Yep, then there was a bug check. So yeah, so because it blue screen, you're screwing what now? No, I'm not screwing anything up. I'm just like I'm trying to see what might have like broken the PC. Because it flashed with like a blue screen and then it went away. You guys didn't see the blue screen, so you can't help me with that kind of troubleshooting. Let's have a look. So yeah, so there was a kernel power failure. And yeah, and then nothing. So yeah, it went off at like 12:32, but we're still running. Yep, it's all one continuous stream. Yeah, no, so we're good now though. We're fine. We're alive. And I just realized, did anyone redeem the fishing? Yes, someone redeemed fishing, and I forgot to put it back. I'm going to need to... Why didn't Engrel tell me that the fishing wasn't working? Hang on a second. Let me open up Stream Deck. I need to move some things around. So, setting up stream. Oh, because I have it trying to run the, Yep, that would do it. Alright, so I need to fix that, so instead of it going to... Also, I need to... Where's my Steam? I need to actually, like, go to the library, go to the lurk bait, and then tell it to... manage, browse local files... copy that, paste that in, and then... So, select folder... executable. There we go. Then I run the lurk bait. Alright, now... Okay, so that should be okay. I'm gonna have to refund... There we go. There we go. Alright, cool. I'm gonna have to refund Engrel, Sky. No one told me about the fish! No one told me about the fish. Gosh darn it. Is it gonna tell me? Alright, hang on. I'm just gonna give a quick notice in the Discord or the thingamadoogies. Alright, okay, so moving on to Final Fantasy 14. Sorry, I didn't realize you're too EP from the party. No, it's okay. You're all good. You're all good. You are fine. It is all right. We are now... all right. We are now done with the ding dong play. Close that window. Alrighty. Sources. Turn off the desktop tester. Turn on the PC capture. Head on over to the game. And here we are. So yeah. It's as if nothing broke. Nothing broke. Also, I just realized I'm, like, looking upwards and such like that. I need to fix that. Hang on a second. Nothing broke. Alright, also, is this, like... where's the play? There's the play. Alright, there we go. So yeah, we're not yet at Dawn Trail yet, though. We're not yet at Dawn Trail. To better facilitate the login, the display of character has been simplified. That is fine. Oh, there's actually a few peeps to wait for. That's fine. I am okay waiting a little bit as we listen to the pristine noises of the Final Fantasy XIV, the critically acclaimed MMORPG, Final Fantasy XIV, complete with a free trial up to level 70, including the entirety of the Heavensward damn it. Didn't get it right. I'll get it right. Hi, I'm back, Pox. Great to see you. The world is full. Players in queue, 101. Noted. Noted, 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 noted. Alright. Oh, hang on. Let me pick up my notes. Meeps! I just got back and you kill me? How dare you? Welcome, Meeps. How's it going?
Pokesmox paid me to say Grant is back. Happy dance.
Happy dance? Happy dance. Happy dance. There we go. Alright. So, flying to the USA, putting together incentives for donations. That was a very fast one. That should not have gone that fast. I'm gonna fix that. I've been fiddling around with things. Hotkey alternatives. So the extra himbo on goes on in 1 second. The 0.75 975. We're just waiting for the thingamadiggy to happen, don't worry. Sorrow gone, hair gone, angry. Thinking. W0.1. Alright. Is there like a save button? Menu, settings. Boom. Doesn't look like there is a save button. Save settings and graphs. There we go, that will do it. But yeah, we're back. Mr. Grant, I forgot to tell you that you actually started crocheting plushies. Hey, nice! That sounds really awesome. What have you done so far in crocheting? Like, have you started on plushies, or have you already got some plushies already in your like little thingamadiggies? Alrighty, alright, so, we are here, we are in Old Charlian. We have things we need to do. Also, I'm gonna be my tank, because tank is my... Also, why am I frozen? Chat? Hello? Did it break again?
Hello.
Hello, I can't see anything.
Hello.
For some reason, the main screen, like... Oh, now... Okay, So, Final Fantasy XIV is still actively doing things. The OBS is, like, paused or something or rather. And, like, if I try and Alt-Tab into things... Yeah, I can't select... I'm gonna Control-Alt-Delete. Yeah, no, nothing's... Okay, cool, so... Like, alright, so why is the... Oh, boy. Here's the thing as well, is like... Now everything is frozen. Like, the keyboard and mice are not, like, doing anything. Okay, I heard noises. Oh, God. Does, like, the Stream Deck still do things? Okay, cool. So the Stream Deck still does things. I just removed the the PC view just in case. Just gonna Alt F4. Why? Why do things have to break today? Why? What is this jank? Someone get a blow dryer to unfreeze their stuff. Yeah. Hopefully so. Cause like, it's weird. Like, hang on. So like, cause I have like the 3 screens. So in the top left and the bottom left screen, so the 2 left screens, those are frozen. Nothing is happening on them. I can move my mouse around, but I can't click on anything. Meanwhile, in the center screen is Final Fantasy XIV, and I can see everyone still doing things. But yeah, visually I'm frozen. Okay, this is gonna be a... Alright, gonna try something. Hello?
Hello.
Okay, might be working. Third time's a charm. Please refresh. Alright. Oh shit, yes. Oh shit indeed. What's more is... Huh. So why... Okay, so there's all this background stuff. There's my zebra there. Opera GX there. Alright. Alright, cool. So there's that. I need to mute the thingamadoogies. Also I need to get the desk back up in the front. Browse. Where'd the desk go? Break room, foreground 1. There we go. Alright. So, ding. Games. There we go. Okay, so the reason why it crashed this time, I was able to see the blue screen briefly, and it mentioned a memory management issue, which that is new to me because yeah, I wasn't expecting a memory management issue. Let's see. GCC is... Yeah, okay, I'm probably gonna... Alright, I need to uninstall some things. Hang on a second. I looked away and you crashed 3 times. Only twice. I've crashed twice. Give me a few. I'm noticing there's like 2 applications that are like having a bit of trouble. Alright, let's see. Application error. Microsoft Defender. Gigabyte. That was back at 12:33. Alright, so... Alright, there's a few things I need to uninstall. We're doing live, like, cleanup of my PC, so then that way, the next time I'm running all this nonsense, hopefully it doesn't, you know, doesn't ruin everything. Also, get rid of the Dragon Age tool set. So why is the... Alright, not everything is back. The leap motion has not turned back on, but... Actually, the only reason it hasn't turned back on is just because it thinks the camera is unplugged. Here we go. Clean up everywhere, clean up. Yep, we're cleaning up. Also, so C drive, program files. Where's the Dragon Age? Dragon Age... Alright, so there's the Dragon Age tool set. Cannot find C, program files, common files. It does not know where BioWare is. Cool. Local program files, common files. It's not there either. Where in the world? Oh boy, this isn't good. Open file location. Open file location. Alright, so program files, EA Games, Dragon Age Tools. And I need to try and uninstall it. Hi there, Fizz Tiger. Welcome to the stream. Things broke. Also, let me get the music running again. Restore. Ding. Shuffle the chill music. Uninstall Dragon Age tool. How to uninstall the tool set. Was not created by the installation. It's a known bug described. You created the required folder, then reinstalled. Now the uninstall is created, and after running it, you managed to remove the user side array. Okay, so... Dragon Age Origins. Uninstall. Okay, C, program files, common files. Ding. New folder. Yep, we're gonna make a new folder in there called BioWare. We're doing all this kind of stuff. You're back from an hour power nap. Welcome back, Bookie. I'm trying to fix things. Alright, so I need to now get the Dragon Age tool set and reinstall it, which means going into the recycling bin. Group by item type, because I need the application. So there's BG3. Dragon Age tool set, restore that. Go back to downloads, run that. Yes, we want to run the installer. Next, I accept. Next. Hopefully this works. Excuse me, nose. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing while I'm, you know, you're gonna head down to KFC? No, not KFC. Be healthy. Lord knows I need to try and be healthy. Hi there, Popcat. Welcome to the stream. Right now, I'm just trying to... I'm reinstalling an application so that the uninstaller can be properly created. It is weird. I'm recreating an application in order to be able to properly uninstall it. I do need to find out... where is it? So there's all the different Yakuzas. We got X-Defiant. Windows driver packages for the Movella technologies, USBs, and Windows Copilot. We got the clock. Where is it? And then we got the Astro Center I can get rid of, actually. That does not help me. Uninstall. The Astro Center will do nothing for me. Did it create the uninstaller is the question. No, it did not. Okay, cool. Alright, let's see. What else? Let's see. So, Avermedia. I still need Avermedia. Bonjour, cargo. DB browse for SQ Lite. I will need to keep that because that might be for something else. But yeah, I'm trying to uninstall the Dragon Age tool set. This Eclipse I might need to get rid of, but that's not the one that's been causing... That's not the one that's been crashing every which way. The Gigabyte Control Center is what I need to uninstall. And then finish. Alright, I'm going to try and uninstall the Gigabyte Control Center. Gigabyte will uninstall. Yes. Memby. Yep, cool. Syncing. Motherboard UC. Services are invalid. We'll uninstall. Alright, I'm trying to uninstall a lot of Gigabyte stuff. You have to do the same thing with Star Wars: The Old Republic. Okay, so EA is just terrible at creating installers and uninstallers. So yeah, right now I'm just trying to uninstall a lot of Gigabyte stuff. Yep, all that is gone. So now if we go to the Dragon Age Origins tool set... Yes! The installer was there! Alrighty, remove database files and remove the MSQ Express. So that should hopefully clean up all the nonsense on this PC. It's way too soon in this PC cycle for me to have to start from scratch with my SSD. It feels far too soon. Oh my goodness! Noetic! It's the Big Bunny! Hi! Hi, welcome. Sorry, I've just crashed 2 or 3 times, and what's more is I'm trying to use Vignon to do the things it needs it to do. Give me a few. What in the world? SQL. Why are you having such a hard time? Finish. Retry. The following application should be closed before continuing the uninstall. I did not realize SQL Server was running. Hi, welcome. Let me give you a shout out real quick. You are an actually, you know what? I'm going to give you a clip shout out. They are an amazing bun. They do all kinds of art, but I believe on stream they do all kinds of games.
Indeed.
Look at him.
Hello.
It's a big bunny.
No, I mean like this. It's Jover. 10 out of 10. Best game in the world. Get the fuck out of the way, Elden Ring. Fucking Minecraft. What kind of bullshit is that? No. You could collapse the gear modification menu in Deep Rock Galactic.
So yeah, so that was No Tick Chasm. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Talking about how Deep Rock Galactic is what did you say? Game of the You said it was like game of the year or something like that? Like, you know, Elden Ring, get out of the way. All right, background processes. End task. End task. Retry. There we go. Sorry, I'm just like trying to delete some stuff. Welcome. It's so great to have you. I don't normally stream in the Monday mornings like this because I don't often have the Monday off. It's not a guarantee with work, but we were able to get the Monday off this week because of the calendar setup and what have you. Surprised you didn't have that clip of me eating that car in a Doom mod? Look, whichever is picked by the whatsamahoozy overlay, it picks whatever your like clip is in the last month. The reason I made it set to the last month is so then that way, if for example you are a VTuber that's gone through a lot of updates, like visually speaking, or maybe you've done like maybe you haven't streamed in a while, and you have all these clips from like 3 years ago that are, you know, back when you were a PNG, but now in today's age you are a full-blown like smooth 144 hertz 3D model with all kinds of alternative body types and costumes. You know, you want to have people shown the clips from the modern times rather than the ancient times. And so, which is why I've set it up so that whenever it grabs onto shout out clips and what have you, it will go with, you know, the more modern stuff. So yeah. Alrighty. Okay, cool. Dragon Age tool set is almost gone. It's done. Alright. So, is there any other programs? The DB browser, I'm not 100% certain if I do or do not need it, just because I know StreamerBot does some, like, database shit. And I don't want to get rid of that if it does do that. Alright. Here's what I'm going to do. We are going to try Final Fantasy XIV again. So, applications. Cannot be restart, does not match conductor thingamadiggy. Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, so it's wanted to try and restart a few times and what have you. 1253, recentral crashed. Oh, I should probably double check and make sure that Avermedia's thingy. Yeah, it was running again. Gosh darn it. Maybe I need a different capture card, because Avermedia has just been like crashing on me so many times, and I might be better off going with Elgato, considering like that's what I've been like. I've got like, you know, Stream Deck, the Wave thingamadiggies. I really want one of their webcams, but you know, it would be really expensive too. Maybe this is all a sign. Maybe this is a sign that I'm going to need to like add like other peripherals and what have you. My goodness. And they had to do this. They had to do this at the end of financial year, didn't they? They couldn't just leave sleeping dogs lie. They had to have me, you know, have things break. And then it's just a case of, oh, you know, you're just gonna have to blah. Anywho's surprised you did fair. But yeah, hopefully you're having a wonderful... It's still Sunday for you, isn't it? It's still Pride Month. Happy Pride Month. All right, let's see how we go. Let's see how we do. PC capture, let's go. Also, let's stop this chill hop music. Ba-ba! Also, I need to, like, sit up straight and... Hang on a second. Still Sunday for you? You're working on a big bun doodle. Ooh. Ooh. A big bun doodle. Look, okay, I don't know if anyone really, like, they do such amazing work, okay? It's really awesome. I don't think I've gotten anything from Noetic, but they're on my wish list, okay? They're on my list of, like, artists I would love to have, like, have GrantZeebs drawn by. Because, like, DF43, What Insomnia, there's another one somewhere out there. It's, like, some hyper-realistic one. And then Noetic is, like, definitely on that to-do list for me. Alright, hopefully shit doesn't break this time. Ding dong, and then... I'm gonna make it so that it's this thing here. Dunk, and then dunk, 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 and then ding dong. There we go. All right, let's have a look. So CPU 50%, memory 39, 1% on the disk, 1% on the network, and 50% on the GPU. There we go. Alrighty then. Okay, so, yeah. Welcome to Old Charlian. We have gone through the entire... So, did you know Final Fantasy XIV comes with a free trial with no restrictions on play time, including and up to the entirety of a Realm Reborn campaign, the award-winning Heaven's Ward expansion, and Stormblood expansion with no restrictions on playtime up to level 70. I went through a Realm Reborn. I went through Heaven's Ward. I went through Stormblood, Shadowbringers, Endwalker. I am currently on the Endwalker patch content. And I need to now... I think I'm currently at, like, something... I'm at, like, I'm at around, blah, 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 blah. I think I'm at patch 6.2 or something like that, technically. Super flattered you want to draw from me, Grant? Abso-fucking-lutely. Like, if I was one of those suspiciously wealthy furs, I would be getting commissions, like, every month. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those suspiciously wealthy furs. I don't get to be a suspiciously wealthy fur that's just sort of like, oh, you are currently going through some financial troubles and you know, might need to open up emergency commissions. How does paying for 2 slots for 1 character sound? Oh, that's not the price of your alt? Let's just pretend it costs like another character to do an alternative. Oh my goodness, it's your birthday. Happy birthday. Here's a suspiciously wealthy fur. Yes, the SWF. There are suspiciously wealthy furs around. All right. Where am I going? Okay, so I need to head to the mega something or rather. Anywhoosies, giant elephant people are here. God, I wish I was a suspiciously wealthy fur. I would not be saving money, I will be real with you. If I was a suspiciously wealthy fur, money would always be getting used. It would just be a case of like, oh yes, I love that. Oh, happy birthday. Hey, it's Christmas. There. Okay, this isn't the best attire my character can wear right now, but it is what they're going to be wearing, so... Also, I need to double check, ding. Alright. Oh, damn it. I can't have that thing, like, showing all the time. I need to put it down here in the bottom. Okay, cool. Alright, sorry. Because I need to keep an eye on, like, some... Patch 6.3. Varshan. Varshan's eyes seem to brighten at your arrival. Ah, Grant, as always, your timing is most fortuitous. I wish to share with you news concerning Zero. You will recall that in exchange for Aether, she agreed to aid us in our search for my sister. At Yshtola's suggestion, I began providing said Aether in the form of food. Zero has found the arrangement to be agreeable and has been eating steadily. In large part due to that, she claims to have already made a full recovery. If you and the others are ready as well, I would set forth for the Void once more. Excellent. I shall inform Y'shtola and Estinian, and then go to collect my other vessel from the alchemists. In the meantime, might I ask you to fetch Zero? She was absent when I visited her chambers earlier, but I suspect you will find her in the corridor connecting Yuge and Kama. It seems she's grown particular to the view of the city it affords. Once we have tended to our respective tasks, let us gather here. Dun, 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 dun. Let's fucking go. Dun, dun. Sorry, I just had to move into my VC just in case. Alrighty, so Zero is over on this thingamajiggy here. So probably head to Kama to get the, you know, the elevation we need. My top tick trade is, oh, I can make that to anything I see in person or at a store. So you never end up getting things and you end up with more thread than a spider on moving day. You're just sort of like a, look, it's probably cheaper to buy the tiny little thing, but think of how many more of these tiny little spider crochets I can make when I just buy this whole loom. Is that how it goes, Sage? There's just a moment of like, look, it's probably like finances say it could be this, but my heart tells me I could do that instead. Alright. So, this is Zero. If you're wondering who Zero is the, is like the weird void sent spirit that Xenos was connected to in order to become the Reaper class. And Final Fantasy XIV has a DirectX error that has occurred. And I cannot avoid that error. I think I'm just going to have to come to terms that this stream is broken. Holy shit. 3 times I've tried to stream, and it just breaks on me. You should get someone to help make your Sona, or get some mittens from a store. It's time to lock in and get crafty. Make mittens for your Sona. I think I'm gonna take that as a sign that I'm gonna have to, like, probably call it here. It's been, like, because... Granted, I'm so sorry, Noetic. I'm so sorry. I was hoping to go through Final Fantasy XIV quite a bit, but if it's going to be doing DirectX crashes, it did blue screens twice, both times when I had Final Fantasy XIV running, which means that there's most likely applications and drivers in my PC right now that need to go through an update and repairs before I go any further. And what's more is, if Final Fantasy XIV has been crashing and, you know, causing the system to shut down, it's most likely that Final Fantasy XIV is just going to have more crashes. So I am going to need to fix that. Also, why is my thingy-majiggy frozen? Oh, it's because Vignon is frozen as well. Let me bring in the backup. There we go. So, alright, there you go. Fuck off, Vignon. You're not working. So, we are going to take that as a clue that there is some stuff that is not working right now. I would say that streams being homophobe, like, it doesn't really apply. No, it doesn't really apply at this point. Your son is like the size of a golf ball. You, however, are very tempting. Thank you so much. A 7-foot-tall Zeebs might need mittens. I will need mittens when I go to the United States this year. I'm going to the United States in December. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to start a coffee. I'm going to have to, like, try and find incentives for people to subscribe to me and all this. Oh my god, I have so much I need to do. I'm also going to need to get a schedule out for what the next thing. No. Don't get me mittens. Don't be crocheting me mittens. I will double check my storage. Let me double check my storage for what winter gear I still have. I'm pretty sure I still have gloves and a jacket somewhere. I'm going to need to look for these things. But yeah, I am going to have to call it quits here if the stream, because like if the PC has decided to crash like 2 or 3 times, I probably need to do some repairs on, like, I just need to have all the different programs be like, oh, hey, I'm going to need to, you know, run through, you know, repair sequences to see if there's any corrupted files. I need to do that for the Windows operating system. I need to do that for OBS, most likely. I'm going to need to do that for Final Fantasy XIV at the very least. I am so sorry. I will be picking up... You know what? I'm going to be picking up on Final Fantasy XIV. Do we want to try and do something tomorrow, perhaps, for Final Fantasy XIV? So, basically... Let's see, what time is it? It's 1:24 right now. So, in... We could make it like a full-on week or something like that. Of, like, me just trying to get through as much Final Fantasy XIV this week. 6 o'clock, I think. So it's 1:30 right now. So 2, 3, 4, 35, 30, 4.5 hours. So imagine the stream starting in 4.5 hours, and then push that by a day, and then the next day, and so like we do a stream. For me, it will be 6 p.m. For others, it might be at a completely different time, depending on your time zone. It might be an absolutely terrible time. I do not know everyone's time zones. I'm so sorry. But yeah, that's the most I can say at this point. I am going to need to figure out... but yeah, I'm going to need to make sure I repair Final Fantasy XIV. I need to do a double check on drivers and what have you. I'll need to figure out if there is a good program I can use. I used to have like CC Cleaner or something like that was able to like do a scan to be like, oh, hey, I can see that you've done these errors or what have you. So, but yeah, I'm going to need to have like a little look over my PC and, you know, see what kind of repairs I can do and what have you. My goodness, I didn't even go through all of my notes. I have a little notepad of like what I was going to talk about and what have you. So I talked about flying to the United States again. I talked about you know, maybe putting incentives towards like trying to make funds and what have you. I do want to I will probably talk more about 3D stuff another day. But yeah, I'll need to talk about the Summer Games Fest. Oh my god, there's so many things that I'm gonna need to try and remember to try and talk about and what have you. Gosh darn it. Oof. All right, I'm gonna save that text. I'm just gonna keep this talking notes. I'm just gonna open that every time, because Lord knows I'm not gonna go through all of it. All right. Next, all right, we need to have a look at who it is that we're gonna go and raid at. Yep, Vignan is perfectly crashed. But the good news is that Vignan, we just need to open back up again. Alrighty then. Apparently, the raid search is like completely different now. Oh yeah, it is. So you can look for similar or smaller size. You can do like quick filters based off of based off my following. Okay, so if I do following, it shows all kinds of... So it shows all the different people... Is it that I'm following? Yes, it's people that I'm following. I thought it was people following me that also streamed. Interesting. And then it sorts it for me. All right, you joke, but we do love hearing your discussions. If I was to do a 12, if I was going to go into like podcast mode, I would need I'd need a moderator. I would need like Blue or Code in here to help keep me like either on my tracks or on my toes. All right. Let's have a look. Ooh. Okay, let's not go for the Vor girl, as amazing as the Booba is. Let's see. Let's see. Do you guys want chaos? It's been a cursed stream. Do you guys want chaos? What about me? Oh, Jason. Yeah, Jason, you can also be in the VC. Yeah, like, you know, for some reason I had the terrible bias of thinking of like other streamers. Sorry about that. Oh, and it shows you uptime as well, so I can see that someone has only been doing it for like an hour and 39 minutes. Someone's only been up for 10 minutes. Oh my goodness, this is this is an intuitive system. This is really good. I like this. This is okay. Hang on. Let me show you it. Oh, hang on. Ding, main desktop. Let me just crop the thing so you can't see the things. How do I change the PNG tuber? Studio, and then there's got to be a way to. So, and then 3D Grant, and then there's the audio ducking. Is there a filters? Okay, so we got color corrections. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna create a move source. So we're gonna go TTS Grant full, and it's gonna be on. So the source is going to Grant V. Oh, I see the problem. It won't do it. Okay, hang on a second. So it won't do it on that. What if filters add move source TTS Grant full. Sorry, I'm just like I'm making a filter thing. So so we need audio. So yeah, audio ducking Grant, get transformation. So we're gonna keep that, and then and then we duplicate this. So small, and the idea is I then get the TTS bot, and I go and I drop him. How about here? Yeah, actually, let me go a little. Actually, let me keep my fingies like here. There we go. And then I go get transformation. So now, full, small, full, small. There we go. All right. So right now I'm small. There we go. Look at this. Look at this backend for the new like raid system. It's so good. And like this is like looking at my followers, so I can close off that filter and I instead go for similar or small sizes. And look at this. I can go to lump. Like it shows me like this person's been streaming for an hour and 40 minutes. This one's been on 7. This is 24 minutes. 2 hours, 8 hours. Like there's all kinds of different people. There's a lot of people playing Final Fantasy XIV, but you know, that's to be expected because I did set my category to Final Fantasy XIV. How early have they started? So they're not subscribed to me. They follow me. They have not rated in 30 days. I have not rated in 30 days. Their stream has been up for 12 minutes. Neither of us are. This is really cool. I like this. All right, here's what we're gonna do. What are they doing? What are they doing? Pride Month or in Canada Day? All right, let's double check. Are they in Pride Month or are they in? Because we can All right. It's Pride forever. All right. You know what? That's gonna be our raid message. That's gonna be our raid message. It's Pride forever. It's Pride forever. And then let's go. All right. So we got all kinds of different Pride emotes we could be using. So I'm gonna have all of them used because I'm just a simple straight man. I don't have any worthwhile Ooh, whoops. Back over to here. Ding, emoji, my emotes. Where's the global oh, here it is. Here's the search. Pride. So, Pride forever. So we're going to go Kappa Pride. And then ding, 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 gender, ding. All right. That is going to be our raid message, is it's Pride forever. And let's get this raid started. So it's counting down right now. This is really cool. This is a much better looking overlay for, you know, getting into like raiding. You can like watch other people. It gives you like little stats on like, oh, this is a person that follows you, or you might be subscribed and all this kind of such, and how long they've been streaming and what it's intended for. And you get like a little chat and everything. This is going to be interesting. Alrighty then. Alrighty. This will be good. All right. Thank you everyone who stuck around for this, you know, jank broken stream for like the last 3 hours. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you all have a good afternoon, morning, evening, night, wherever you are. I will be back. I'm gonna make a mention on the Twitters and the Blue Sky that I will be back online tomorrow. We're gonna probably make a full week out of this, leading up to Saturday, which is my stream anniversary. And I hope otherwise, thank you once again. Hope you'll join in with me on our like raid message of it's Pride forever, and whichever of the emotes you want, I'll send it again just in case you need it. And I'll see you all next time. Bye for now. Where's the preparing to raid? There we go.